All right, we're live. I'm trying to get everything live here. I apologize for sitting here for a second, but Instagram has to go live, YouTube has to go live, Facebook has to go live, so I can get everybody live here. And I am monitoring all the chats. I also have to double check and see if we're live on Facebook. I know that we're live on everything else here. There we go. We are live on Facebook. Let me go over there and pull up a chat. Show this out, show this out, show this out. All right. Let me find where it is here on Facebook and go up live. There we go. Got the sound off and I got the chat live over here. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay. So now I got the screens open so I can see what's going on. I can see Instagram, I can see YouTube, and I can see Facebook and chats. Then I got my computer telling me that I don't have enough space on my computer. Lying to me. Lies. Let me plug in my whatchamacallit here, external hard drive. So my computer will then recognize that I have other information on your hard drive, right? Thank you, Brooke, for sharing that out. My wife is there sharing this out for me. So I'm okay with that. It looks like we're live everywhere. So I'm happy with that. So give me a shout out in the chat. Otherwise, I don't know that you're here. I just see numbers because that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm just seeing numbers, and they've been lying to me on the numbers for Facebook. I've been being shadow banned where it's been telling me I have 0 or 1 person in the audience, and I have 5 people talking to me at one time in the chat in Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Well, Instagram doesn't really give me a count. But Facebook and StreamYard does with YouTube and Facebook, but for some reason the count hasn't been right on Facebook. I'll look on StreamYard in my studio and it'll say I have like 10 people or 15 people in the audience, and I'll look on Facebook and it'll say I have like 2 or 0. You gotta love that. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm going live at different times of the day and the week. It is currently 7 p.m. over in the west coast of the United States, or the west coast of the North American continent. And so that is, what time is that? 1 p.m. over here in New South Wales, Australia, where I am broadcasting from. It is currently, what day is this? Wednesday, Thursday? I don't even know what day this is. I haven't even looked at the day of the week. I should have checked my calendar for that. I guess it's not that important. It is the 14th, which is important. The 14th of October. I think we're already in the 15th of October here in New South Wales. But the 14th and the 15th, that 24-hour span for the planet is actually a very important one. Because if you saw the video that I posted the other day, there was a woman who was talking about it. I don't know what her name was. She just came up on my feed on Instagram, I think. And talking about it, though, the time convergence. So I thought I would come on here and talk to you guys about the time convergence and then answer some questions. I had a question on YouTube the other day. Woo Riders, welcome. I see you're in the audience over there. 12:01 p.m. on Northeast Florida. There you go. So, or I'm sorry, 10:01. So it's 10:01 p.m. on the East Coast of the North American continent. It is 7:02 or 7:01, 7:02 on the West Coast of the North American continent. 1 p.m. New South Wales, Australia, on the East Coast of Australia. Sydney and Brisbane. I think Brisbane is up here in the north. Don't quote me on that. Don't get mad at me, guys. I'm new to Australia, and I'm still learning the geography of where everybody is. I know that Perth is on the other side. I don't even know if I'm pointing in the right direction. Yeah, west, whatever direction that west is from here. I still haven't got my compass points down. I'm all messed up being in the southern hemisphere of the planet. I'm getting acclimated to the southern hemisphere, so please bear with me here in Australia. If you guys not quite sure where I'm going and where I'm at, and I'm pointing the wrong direction. My wife's getting used to me being lost over here because I grew up in the North American continent. So above the equator, I know everywhere I'm at, but below the equator, I'm still trying to figure it out. Everything's opposite. Okay. So time convergence. All right, let's talk about that. What does that mean? And you guys are hearing all kinds of stuff about different things all over the internet all the time, right? People were talking about the rapture was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago, the other day, last week, whenever it was. There was this supposed rapture that happens like once a month. That people were saying there was going to be a rapture, and it didn't happen. And I saw a guy that had a post that he posted that said, now that the rapture didn't happen and it's bullshit, then we can move on. So I thought I would bring that up, right? I see Reese, you're over there on Instagram. Hi, brother. Namaste. I'm actually got the monitors up. My wife, who's more tech savvy than I am, which is crazy because I've one of the most tech savvy people. She's teaching me how to pull up all the monitors on a couple of monitors and pulling up 4 and 5 and 6. If I wanted 8 monitors going at one time, I didn't know how to do that. And she was like, here, look, click, 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 click. She's putting everything up for me before she walked out. She's on her way, about ready to leave to go to work in a few minutes. So, in fact, there she is there. I love you. She has to run off to go to work. So she running in, give me a kiss and throwing the cat outside. So he might be in the window meowing at me at some point. If he does, I'll close the window so you guys can't hear him because he might want to get back in. Right. So there goes Brooke. I love you, baby. So, people were talking about this all the time. There's all these things, but for real, there's a time convergence that is happening today, the 14th of October through the 15th for that 24-hour time period that takes the Earth to complete a whole cycle. So it's still the 14th of October in some places of the world that haven't caught up to Australia yet because we're already on the 15th, right? But you guys are starting to catch up. The UK now, if it's 10 o'clock in the East Coast of the United States, the UK is now into the morning of the 15th. So why is this important? What is this convergence? Okay. Like, what is it? Like 439 years ago. Don't quote me on the exact number. But Pope, I think it was Pius or one of those, or I think it was Pope Pius III or something, or the first. Don't quote me on that either. The Pope that was talking about that changed. Okay. There was a Pope who signed a decree to change the calendar of the world from the lunar calendar, which was 13-month calendar of all 28-day months, which was the calendar that everybody went by on the earth prior to that point. Most cultures went by the lunar calendar, and he was a Roman Catholic Pope, and they decided that the solar calendar was the calendar that we needed to go to. Well, they changed it, and then, of course, they had to change different things because different Caesars, Julius, and a few others decided that they wanted to name a month after themselves, and they wanted their month to have more days. So they started borrowing days from another month, which they eventually ended up getting rid of that month completely because the month had less and less days in it until it only had about 12 days. And so they just separated those days into the rest of the months and just took a month out. And we have the 12-month calendar that we have today with 31 days in some month, 30 days in some months, and stuff like that. Okay, why is that important? That was when the change was. It was 439, 440 years ago, somewhere around there. And the Pope changed it. When he wrote the change, he didn't change it saying until the end of time. He said until October 14th of the year 2025. Okay, so it's supposed to end today unless somebody changes it. Now, the global secularists that run the planet right now, they're not going to in any way, Melissa Innerman, thank you, welcome. They're not going to in any way change back to the lunar calendar and add the 13 months back in, okay, and change all the days. They're not going to do that because there's no profit in it for them, and they like things the way they are now. Things were more simple, and everybody understood and was more in tune with nature, living in the 13-month calendar, because every first day of the week was a Monday, or every first day of the month was a Monday. Every 28th day, the last day of the month, was a Sunday. So you knew what day of the week it was by the date, or what date of the month it was by the week, or by the day in the week. Because if it was a Monday, it was either the 1st, the 8th, the 17th, right, or the 28th, okay? Because 8 days, right? 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? So it would be the 1st of the month, and then it would be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or maybe it would have been the 10th. I'm just trying to figure it out, right? So 10th. So it would be the 1st, the 10th, and on. So you knew that those dates were always the same. Nothing ever changed. So every Monday was a certain date. Every Tuesday was a certain date, with the parameters of possible 3 dates. That's it. The first of the month was always a Monday. The last day of the month was always a Sunday. That's the way it works. So it was a lot easier. You didn't have to have a calendar written down for you every year to figure out what day it is, what year it is, what month it is, because it was always the same. It never changed. Okay. The only thing that changed was there was one day that they had, because it was only 30, instead of being 364 and a quarter days, or it was still 364 and a quarter days. So like what we do every 4 years, we add one day. So they had one day that they had that was not on the calendar that they called a holy day or something like that. So the Pope changed things and said that today was the last day. Now, how is that important? It's not important, except now is when the time is supposed to go back to the other time. So now we're living against time and have been. We're not living within time. We're not living in the simple place within time. Okay. We're living against time, but that time has now come to an end, and we're supposed to be going back to the other calendar. Also, let's look at what other is converging. There's two other calendars, one being the Mayan calendar, the one that had the one that everybody thought was going to end on 2012. The short round on the Mayan calendar, Baktun 12, ended on 2012, and Baktun 13 began on 2012, December 2012. The long count, which was over 3,000 years long, ends today and starts a new long count calendar of a 3,000. I don't know the exact number, but it's 3,200 and something or 600 and something. Somebody out there can look it up for me and let me know. I don't know the exact number anymore, but I used to have it. I should have probably wrote it all down. So we have this convergence of time that weirdly the Pope, I don't know if the Pope was aware of the Mayan long count calendar, but that all these calendars, and there's another one too, and I don't remember the name of it. There's 3 calendars that actually end today, world calendars that end today and start a new calendar for a new era. So now we're officially, when you guys hear about us moving into the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius officially starts today. Okay. So we're out of the Mars war a portion of the human existence in the world. And we're now moving into the Venus or feminine goddess energy officially as of today. So there's this time convergence that the Mayan long count talked about, that the Pope had signed the calendar change until today, and another calendar, and I forgot which one it was, so don't get mad at me, but it was another calendar that was the same thing, moving from the age of Aquarius or into the age of Aquarius, the feminine, female energy. So officially, after 2012, we were in that interim place between the energies of masculine, as the masculine energy was waning, and then the feminine energy was starting to wax. And then once it comes in full into play, that is October 14th, 2025. So we are now officially in that state of the time is supposed to be going back to the lunar calendar, which they're not going to change, but all of the strife in the world is now officially over. So the devil shall walk the earth for a time. That I talk about this a lot. That has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The end is officially October 14th, 2025. So literally the entire species of the earth is now going to fully feel the feminine. This is why you hear people all over the internet talking about feminine energy. It's not just me. It's not just like 10 people. It's literally everyone in the spiritual community, no matter what their background is, has been talking about this building of feminine energy around the world. Well, officially, we are out of the masculine, warlike energy and into the feminine, more loving, caring energy, right? Melissa says, and she says, it won't matter since they're losing grip anyways. Yes, that's exactly it. So they have lost control, and they're losing control, losing grip of what's going on. So it won't matter. Eventually, by 2033 or at the latest 2050, we will be changing things, and we will go back to the lunar calendar on this earth, because this way of life that they have right now will be gone. We will be getting rid of this way of life, and we'll be moving into this different kind of life, okay? Where this is where you hear in the Bibles around the world that God's going to create the new heavens and the new earth. Everyone thinks, oh, that means we're all going to die, and then there's going to be the left behind. That's why people were saying the rapture was supposed to be last week, right? And that it was going to be, everybody was going to be left behind, and so all of us are left behind now. Well, nobody left, okay? Because the rapture is not real. There is no rapture the way people think. The rapture is the one that you have when you ascend, and then you get to go. Right. So that's exactly what Jesus was trying to teach. Right now, the churches are all teaching you have one life, you die, and you go to this place called heaven. And if your name's on the list, you get to stay up there. And if your name's not on the list, you get sent down to this other place where you never get to come back from, no matter what you do. But God loves you, and he'll let you repent whenever you want to. Hold on. So then how is it that you only have a certain amount of time, then that time's over, and God doesn't love you anymore? That's just not, there's nowhere in the Bible that says that. Okay. So Melissa says, regarding cats, right, may have to watch from the what is it? The Maine Coon kittens. Love Maine Coon kittens. I've had a Maine Coon kitten. I'm wondering about Luciano, the cat that we have, whether he's got some Maine Coon in him, or if he's got some Siberian in him. I think he's got Siberian in him. So we're not sure, though. We took him into the vet, and they didn't know either, which is weird because they usually have somebody in there that knows, but they didn't know. So regarding cats, may have to watch for my Maine Coon kitten, and the chance was felt because in walking and saving the field butterfly from the old web. I'm not sure what you meant by that. Maybe that's why I freed the butterfly. It was made up in the 19th century. Well, the calendar was, right. So I'm not sure what you were referring to there, Melissa. I apologize. But maybe because the change in your energy is why you went and freed the butterfly, right? Yeah, we had a problem with a spider that came in, one of the big ones over here in Australia, and I was like kind of freaked out because it was a big spider. And Brooke was like, "It's fine. It's not going to hurt you. It's just that it's not any threat." And I was like, "Okay." Well, then the cat saw it, and that was just not good. That was just bad, right? So the cat saw it, and the cat was attacking it, and eventually it was trying to hide from the cat. And I was like, and then it was like on the couch where we were sitting, and I was like, "We got to do something about that. We need to get it outside, or we're going to have to kill it." And so eventually we ended up spraying it, and then we caught it and put it outside. And I don't know if it made it or not. Probably didn't. And so we kind of felt bad about that. Brooke didn't want to do any of that. She just wanted to try and catch it and get it outside and put it outside. And I was just, it was big. This thing was like this big. It was huge. And I forgot what kind of spider it was. It was a wolf spider, I think they call it over here. No, it's something else. But it's akin to the wolf spider in America. But their legs are big. So it was a big spider. But I felt bad doing that as well. And unfortunately the cat was on it, and cat saw it and was going after it and smacking at it and trying to eat it. And it was jumping around. And I was like, it's either going to bite the cat or the cat's going to bite it. We need to do something about it. So the energy is shifting, and the old guard, these people that want status quo, they're already on their last leg, and they're already, in the death throes, but they don't want to give up the ghost. So they're going to try as hard as they can. They're going to try as hard as they can to continue keeping things the way it is. So you're going to have, right? Yeah. Reese in the other chat said, I knew that would happen. Right. So yeah. Right. So we have this convergence that is literally happening now that's going to change the face. And you see different things that are coming up, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And the other reason I came live was because there was a woman on my YouTube channel, which I'm live on right now. Woo Riders is over there. There was a woman on there who asked, I think it was on that channel, could have been TikTok. I posted a thing about the change that is coming and that is happening, a short reel that I made the other day, a few days ago, saying that there's this big convergence in the change in the human condition. And she said, yeah, okay, so I keep hearing about this, but what does that mean? Right. And so on that little thing, I couldn't really say a lot. So I said, well, I talk about it in my book and on my podcast. So you should take a look at those, and that will help you. And if not, contact me again and we can talk about it. So I decided, because I didn't go live last week, except for on Friday, And I've been trying to figure out different times to be able to go live so that we can get as much coverage as possible to get the word out to people. So I decided to come on here today and go live. And I was going to come live earlier, but I was busy with Brooke. So because she had to leave to go to work, to be at work at like 1:30, which she's about ready to be, or 1:15, 1:30, something like that. She's about ready to be at her job now. So I waited until just before she left to go to work, and then decided to go live right at 1. And then, like I said, she's going to be 1:15, 1:30 or something like that, or 1:45. She's going to be starting her job. And she just left to drive there, which means probably 1:15. So she probably just got there, and I probably got the notification on my phone that she's at work. Okay, so I wanted to answer that for that woman and anyone else out there who's been listening to different people, and then address that you can see that is starting to happen. So what is happening? That is what's happening. There's a convergence because there is a change in the universe, in this sector of the universe that we're moving through right now. People don't realize that the energy we're moving through, we're in the Milky Way galaxy, and it takes us like 2 billion years to do one rotation around the Milky Way galaxy center core. And we kind of drift up and down like this, and we bounce around like this and go around all the way around to make one whole revolution. We figured that out by plotting the course of the Earth, and compared to the Milky Way galaxy, and changes. The Mayans and the Incans knew about it. Most people knew about it in astronomy before we did. So the sector of this Milky Way galaxy that we're moving into right now, the energy that's resonating here is more feminine energy. So we have no choice. This place was moving into the feminine just because of where we are in the universal energy in relation to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, right? So in the center of the galaxy, not the universe, because the galaxy is in the universe. So we're in the galaxy. So the Milky Way galaxy, our place in it, we're moving into an area that has more feminine energy, less masculine energy. So it was part of the grander plan that people don't want to deny and pretend that it's not part of what's going on. There is no God, and God didn't create anything, and God didn't have a master plan for everything, and we're just all random, and we just happen to be space dust that crash landed on Earth and a rock, and we got out into the atmosphere, and somehow we pollinated and became life, and then life evolved into us, which they still don't have proof of, by the way. Life went from we became from a primate, a monkey, or a gorilla became the human, and we're still missing all the links in between the two, and we're still coexisting with the monkey and the gorilla, and there is no one in between. Okay, so that suggests that that's not what happened, but that's their theory, and they're sticking to it, and they're going to with that. Okay, so then there's the other side of the coin where the ancient aliens people claim that aliens came down here and tinkered with the human DNA and created the human DNA as slaves, and we're prisoners, whatever. We're in pods and have robots running around like in the Matrix, which is quickly becoming a religion. They're integrating the Matrix and all the ideas of the Matrix with the Anunnaki. So now the robots are becoming the Anunnaki, and the AI God is soon going to be the Anunnaki God. So you'll see that happen probably in the next 2 years, if they're not already doing it. Because I know that they're already calling like Marduk Anunnaki. Right? Now he's got a last name. He's Marduk Anunnaki. So now the entire pantheon of the Mesopotamian gods are the Anunnaki. Because the word Anu, Na, and Ki are in the scroll, and then the way they translated it, not the way that the scholars translated it or the people who actually learned the actual language, but Zacharias Sitchin and then Georgios Tsoukalos, and they all just ran with that. Georgios Tsoukalos from the Prometheus and History Channel's Ancient Aliens. Just one day when those from the heavens came, after Zacharias Sitchin said the god Anu came, then it became them. And then Anunnaki became one word, and it became a race of people. It's okay. It's a catchphrase because those people, there were a group of people who did come here. Okay. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So, but let's start with the convergence. Okay. So the convergence is now solidified, and this place is now waxing towards the feminine. And if you don't notice that, if you look on the internet, you will see that there are people out there now that are starting to say Christianity should have been Mary Magdalene, who followed and became the savior, the true leader of the church, not Jesus, not John, right? That it should have been Mary, but that the church was usurped by Peter, who was a man who took control of the church and outed Mary, right? You look at history, we already know that to be true. Dan Brown read the books and wrote the Da Vinci Code, which became a movie from that as a, what if that actually happened? Then we would have this dilemma, this dichotomy that's going on. And so he did a what if. So now people are looking and finding, they said, well, Mary Magdalene didn't really write a book, and it's just a made up and fable. Weirdly, they have found scraps of it in at least 5 different countries at least 5 different times. Okay. So they're saying that they've even found more. So, and then when they've compared them, they all say the same thing. So at one point on this planet, there was a scroll that Mary Magdalene wrote that was handed around and kept all over the world. Okay. And we have pieces of that out there. I've read it. Okay. So we know that to be true. So much so that the people who made The Chosen, the TV series, added that in, where she was writing stuff down, and Matthew was trying to get her to publish it, or at least give it to him so that they could copy it. Okay. Melissa said, I actually saw a YouTube short where they show Mary fighting the devil hand to hand. Right? That's funny, right? In medieval scripture. So yeah, so that's funny. So then medieval scripture, yes, Mary leaves when Jesus is crucified. She gets thrown out basically of the church by Peter, who takes the church and becomes the first pope. She leaves and turns up in France a few years later, in the south of France, and then she starts the religion, well, the way, because it wasn't really a religion, the way that Jesus was teaching. Okay, his way, or his apostles, his followers were following the way. That's what Jesus called it, the way. Okay, the way to ascend to heaven, the way, like the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, right? The Tao is the way. Okay, so he was teaching them the way, and the church turned it into a religion where Jesus was elevated to a God, wasn't the Savior, wasn't the Son of God anymore. He was God himself. And he was telling everybody, wait here, I'll come back for you. There'll be a time when I'm going to come back for you and pick you up. I'm going to have a Volkswagen bus, and I'm going to be driving that, and I'm going to come down with a guy who's going to get out of the bus wearing a big long robe and a big long beard. He's going to have this big giant book that's going to be too heavy to carry, but because he's an angel, it's okay for him to be able to do that. And he's going to open the book up, and then he's going to call your name, and if your name's not on the book, then you get forcibly taken like a slave down to hell, where you're going to stay for all eternity, and you can never do anything, because once you screw up past a certain point, you're judged by God, and then you're never going to get to come back ever again, no matter how bad you feel about it. Okay. And that's what they teach you. And that you have to have water thrown on your head, and some man has to wave his hand in front of your face and say some words that you don't want to understand. If it's in the Roman Catholic, it'll be in Latin. Unless you speak Latin, you'll have no idea what he's saying. And then he's baptizing you in the name of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. I think they changed it now to even now to the Holy Ghost, away from the Holy Spirit, or the other way around. Okay. So yeah, they changed it to the Holy Ghost, because now he's an undead, unembodied spirit, where before he was the Holy Spirit, the King of the universe, the Creator of the universe. They even changed that to where the Hebrews are saying King of the universe, or Master of the universe, but Lord of the universe, not Creator of the universe. So they're changing all of the words now. So why is that? They're doing that to keep status quo. Okay, I got kicked off of TikTok for saying these words last week, and I'll be able to go back on TikTok tomorrow, maybe the day after. I went live on TikTok, even though I was on TikTok the night before live, talking exactly the way that I'm talking now, and the person who I was who I was on their show didn't get kicked off. And then later that same day, I was on another live show saying the same thing, and that person didn't get kicked off. But the next day I went live and said what I just said, and I got kicked off of TikTok and put in TikTok prison for 6 days because I was pandering misinformation by telling the truth about what happened, that Bibles were edited by people on this planet who didn't like the narrative, who wanted control over the people and the world. And so they changed and took books out of the Bible and made a new Bible that didn't have any of those books in it. That's actual history. I didn't make that up. That's not misinformation. That's not disinformation. That's actual history that really happened in history. But the communist Chinese TikTok decided that either spirituality in and of itself is considered misinformation, because in a communist country or a progressive democratic socialistic country, you can't have a religion. Okay, you can't have spirituality. Spirituality is fake and it's not real, and therefore it is dis and misinformation. So I got warned that if I talked like that again, I would have a strike against me, and after 3 strikes, you're out. So they adopted the American baseball terminology of 3 strikes. So in actuality, right? So in actuality, that happened in real history, and it's a fact, and it's historical. It has nothing to do with misinformation. It is real, and it really did happen. But that time is officially over. So I'm coming on to announce that. Okay, that time is officially over of their rule of this planet. From this point forward, you're going to see people are going to be starting to vote these people out of office, and those people who don't want to leave office will have a revolution in their country, and the people will overthrow that government and take control. I hope that it never comes to that. I don't advocate people overthrowing governments, and I don't advocate any open kind of civil unrest. There's other ways of changing things. You don't need to do those things. All you have to do is vote people out of office. And if they don't want to leave office, then you allow the law enforcement to deal with those people, and you say the law enforcement needs to deal with it. If it doesn't, and it comes down to something crazier than that, then you have to. Then you do what the Indians did with Mahatma Gandhi, is then you sit down and tell them no. You do not have to. There should never be a time when people start killing people or burning things down the way that the progressives love to do things around this earth. They always do. All communists, when they're trying to destroy a society, always get violent in history. You can see that. That is not misinformation or disinformation. It is exactly the way they take control of all governments, is by violence, by destruction, by destroying things, by revolution. So don't allow them to get you to do that. Change things peacefully, change things without any kind of uprising, where if you're going to have an uprising, it has to be a social uprising, not a physical uprising. That is just a way that you can get yourself harmed and get many, many people killed. We don't need that. We don't have to do that. The Indians with Mahatma Gandhi proved that if you just sat down and told them no and made them do what you wanted. Sorry, I'm trying to move back here in my I don't have my shoes on. I'm in my socks today, so I didn't have any traction. I almost pushed the desk over. So I apologize that everything was moving all crazy. Okay, so you have to realize that, okay? You have to realize that. Do not do something stupid like that, because there's no reason to do that. Vote people out of office, protest what they're doing, and stay peaceful always, because things are changing and they can't do anything about it. They want status quo, so they need to have conflict so that they can arrest or kill or do what they can do to stifle people. So we need to stop that and not allow them to do that and tell them no, okay? The world is changing. They don't have any way of stopping it, no matter how hard they try, no matter how much that they decide to. In fact, the more they decide, and this is why it's so important to not resist in that way, the more that they decide that they have to physically attack people or take control of them, the quicker it's going to turn the population against them. They are aware of that. So the only way that they're going to win is if the population rises up in a physical way to try and do something against them. So you don't want to do that. That's their wheelhouse. Don't do it. This is what Jesus was trying to teach when Jesus came here 2,000 years ago, and some of the people in his own his own group didn't understand that. Peter the Zealot, not Simon the Zealot, didn't understand that. Judas didn't understand that. A few of them wanted to arm and get an army and march on Rome and take back what they wanted and kill people like David did before that, 10 generations before that. That's not the way. That isn't the way. The way is peaceful. The way is love. The way is showing people and teaching people the proper way. And then you just tell the children, no, sit down. Okay. That's how it works. So the devil shall rule the earth for a time is over. Okay. Officially today, it is over. And I'm here to tell you that we are now moving fully into the feminine energy on this earth. And you're seeing already the shift of people and the knowledge looking more for the feminine energies to balance those energies out. You need both the masculine and feminine to balance them properly. You need every part of your aspect of your beingness to be I am, right? So instead of I think, therefore I am, I actually am. So I am awake. I am not veiled. I am, the immortal spirit. I am part of the creation. I am part of the creator, not just the creation. Do you see? This is the knowledge that you're going to attain to move into that place where you understand what's going on. So I wanted to answer that question. I don't know if that woman will ever hear this. I hope she does. I hope she does listen to my podcast, in which case she'll hear my words with me saying this. Okay. I should have up on the screen running, ask questions in the chat, right? I'm here for that reason. I'm here because I'm talking to you as Kelto. I'm talking to you, not as Leonard O'Neill, but as Kelto. Okay. And I channel Kelto most of the time. I just don't tell you guys who is talking and who's channeling. I've been doing it. Kelto is my higher self. Kelto is from the 11th density, the 11th dimension, part of the Patal. You can look that up, the Patal. Part of the Patal came here on this planet, came here to this planet to help fix this planet, okay, with a whole group of us. Whole group of people came down here to do that. There's a whole groups of people that are from many different places who heard the call, and individuals who heard the call and came here to help. So it's not just one group, it's not just us, but it is many people. And I'm one of those people, and I'm part of the council. I'm part of the Orion Council of Light. I'm in the coalition, the Orion Coalition of Light, because I'm down here on the planet. But I'm part of the Orion Council of Light, which is part of the Galactic Council that is here in the solar system, protecting the solar system. Okay. I have a seat in the Galactic Council that I rotate into. Okay. Rotate in and rotate out. But you guys aren't aware of that. If you go before the council, you'll never be able to see their faces because their faces are always obscured. So you hear their voices and you see them there, but their faces are obscured. They're done that way on purpose so that people don't know. And even sometimes people change their voices. But there's a lot of people that channel these people, and you see them online. I was kind of giggling. I was watching, Brooke and I were watching this woman on YouTube who was channeling different people. And she channeled a couple of people from the council. And I smiled, and she looked at me, and she says, "Does he really move like that?" I'm like, "Just like that." That's how I know, he's real, and that she's really channeling. Her movements, her mannerisms changed, and I was laughing. I was like, "Yeah, he's I think he was a tall gray." No, she was the tall gray. She doesn't know it. I don't know if she knows it. She might know it. I haven't had a chance to talk to her, so I don't know if she knows it, but she's a tall gray, and he was an Octuran, and another one was what was he? I don't remember his race, but he was a little more flamboyant the way he spoke, and kind of dramatic in the way he spoke, and she channeled him, and I started giggling about that. Okay. So you're finding that happening more as well now. Okay. You're finding that there are more people that are starting to channel people from these different galactic bodies down here, but you also have to pay attention to the wording and the way they speak. If they start telling you ultimatums, they're not legitimate, they're not real. Okay. And I'm going to warn you about that. Then you hear that, like, be wary of false prophets. You need to learn the difference in this. This is one of the reasons why my wife and I are going to be teaching later on this year. I think it might be before January. Don't quote me. I haven't looked at it, and I apologize, because I am coming to you from a higher plane right now, not thinking through the memory right now of me, that we are going to be doing a defense against the dark arts class, where we're going to be teaching you some of this so that you can kind of become aware of that. So you might want to contact us to see that. We're going to be doing, I think, those on Zoom. I think we're going to be doing some in person for the local people in the New South Wales area, but I think we're also going to be doing the Zoom class. In fact, I know we're going to be doing a Zoom class for that as well. So for those of you who are around the world, and we're going to be telling you that kind of stuff, right? So we can help guide you to the understanding of wording and the way that people will talk to you. If you hear somebody that says Ashtar Command is giving you an ultimatum that you have until this date to make a decision and we're leaving, or else you're going to be, even a religion, you have to this date to, like the rapture, you either are going to be going to heaven or and then there's a consequence, like you get to be stuck in hell for the rest of eternity. All of that's bullshit. All of that's a lie. All of that is not somebody who's channeling the real people, because those concepts are third dimensional concepts of prison and eternity, and you can never get out of prison, because even if you repent your ways now, it doesn't matter, because we've judged you and found you guilty of that, and so you're going to be evil now for the rest of existence, and you just can't get out because you're just evil. Too bad. So sad. You had your time. We warned you, and that's the way it is. God would never talk like that. Doesn't. Okay? The creator of the universe doesn't talk like that. Creator of the universe does not judge you. There is no governing body in third dimension where you have one person at the top of a caste system with a book and your name's in the book. Okay, that was Santa Claus. Santa Claus knows if you're good or knows if you're bad, so be good for goodness sake. Okay, St. Peter, there is no St. Peter who's standing up at the pearly gates with a book standing there with a podium who's going to judge you. No, you're on the naughty list. To hell for all of eternity. That's just not the way the universe works. Okay, you judge yourself. There is no judgment day. Okay, all of that was fabled and it was made up here on earth. And I tell you that truly, and I tell you that now, and I tell you that because the way of this old power control, maritime law, caste system is over. It's ending. It's over. And you guys need to become aware of the conversations and the wording, the verbiage that they use to get you to believe that you're a slave. Okay. And they've corrupted the religions into enslaving you as well by the wording and the verbiage. If you cut your hair, you're going to go to hell and you never get to come back. If you get a tattoo, you're going to go to hell and you never come back. If you say God's name in vain, oh yeah, God is so judgmental, because God is a third dimensional construct that is like a child who would be offended. It has an ego. No, okay, that's not how that works. It's not the way the creator is. The creator's not sitting back going, oh yeah, you said damn it after you said my name, after you said the word God, therefore you're going to this place that's called hell and you never get to come back from it. That is something that a third grader or a second grader would do. Okay? Not a creator of the universe. Never a creator of the universe would judge anything. The entire purpose of this place and this so-called reality, this illusion, these illusions that you are experiencing, the whole entire purpose of them was so that you could have these experiences. Why then would there be 6,000, 70,000, 100 billion laws telling you what you can't do in a place that you were created to have free will? We have free will except for these 10 commandments, except for those 7,000 laws, except for these million laws in each country. Okay? Most of the laws are actually commonsensical things that you shouldn't be doing anyways, and they shouldn't have to have somebody write them down and tell you that you're going to die if you do them. But people are evil. 14% of the population is evil, and they're going to do those bad things because they choose to. So there has to be consequences for those people who do those bad things so that the other people don't do those bad things. If there's no consequences, then people are going to do bad things because there's no reason they don't. Perfect example of that is the progressive ideology. I hate to start talking about the religion of evil again, but the progressive ideology in every country since COVID started by allowing and encouraging children to steal and create crimes and not doing anything about it. So much so in every country that is a European country, that is a Romanized country almost exclusively, unless they decided not to do that, and they weren't run by the progressives, have had the highest crime rate in the history of the world. And now governments are saying we need to do something about this crime rate because the kids are getting out of control. Well, you're the ones who sent them out of control by encouraging them to rape and pillage and to burn things down. Okay, that thing didn't work that you tried to do, and now you're trying to pretend that you just discovered that there was these things that were happening and they didn't know why it was happening. We have no idea why they're burning things down, ripping things off. Well, let's see, you changed the laws so that they had to rip off $10,000 or more before they got caught and before they would be charged with anything. So therefore, why would anyone not just charge to steal $9,999 worth of stuff over and over and over and over again? Opportunity. Okay, you're trying to create civil unrest, and that's what you guys did. But it didn't work, and now you guys are getting fired from your jobs because you didn't do anything about it. And now you're trying to make changes because you're trying to hold on to power. Okay, good luck with that. Let's see how that works out for you in a couple of years. Okay, so that's my soapbox on the religion of evil. So they're doing to themselves what they deserve to have done to themselves. Okay, so Melissa says 5 or 4 more years till first contact. Okay, so people keep talking about this first contact. Let's talk about that. Okay, what exactly does that mean? First contact? Yeah, aliens are going to come down here. 86% of the current population of the Earth is not from here. First contact happened a long time ago. The soul that is in this body is not from this planet. I didn't grow up here. I did, but I was not created and then put here first. Okay? I was not created and put here first. And the truth is, none of you were either. Okay? So what exactly do we mean by first contact? An alien spacecraft that's going to show itself? That will be happening in time. That will be happening in time. But it's not the first contact the way you think. They're already here. I can tell you this right now. I was just on the Commander's show on the weekend. Okay, Commander Elion. He is a commander of a space fleet, and he's down here on Earth in a physical body. And I tell you right now, I am a commander of a space fleet. So is my wife, and so are about 12 other people, some of you in the audience. So are about 12 other people that are in our group. They are commanders of a spaceship who control a bunch of other spaceships. Okay? And we're not the only ones. The Galactic Council is full of other councils that have people down here, coalitions down on the Earth that came down here to help. Those people are here from another place. So it depends on what you mean. Okay, so why can't we see those spaceships? Those spaceships are not in third dimension. They are, in fact, most of them in fifth dimension. Some are in fourth, but most are in fifth dimension. So you don't get to see them because they're not vibrating at a rate that you can see. Okay, they're in a spectrum of light. They're in a spectrum of vibration that you can't see. Okay, we see the rainbow spectrum of light, right? We see red through purple or the other way around because it's upside down. We see purple through red. Okay, those are the colors and everything in between that. In third dimension. That is the light spectrum of third dimension. That dimensionality is what we pick up. In fact, we see less of the actual colors that are actually here for us to see. Animals who see in black and white and don't see in colors, they actually see more because there's more shades of gray than there are actual colors. So they actually see the differences more than we do. However, first contact in the way that people are thinking is they keep telling you that, Melissa, because they want you to believe that, because they have an alien invasion that they have planned, and they're morphing it into alien contact now because everybody outed them about the alien invasion, the fake alien invasion that they had. Last resort, they were going to press a button and there was going to be aliens that were going to show up here, and they still might try that. That's why it's being called first contact, because they're not quite sure if it's going to be the alien invasion. Oh no, come quick, everybody. We have to abolish all governments and come together as one huge entire planet to fight against the big bad aliens, which is actually them. Or if they're going to show up and try the other way, which is what already happened here, where they're going to show up and go, we're the Anunnaki. We created you. Worship us. We're your gods. because they have to, that's the vampire knocking on the door. To come here in third dimension and to come down here on the planet, boots on the ground, they have to have permission. Okay. If they don't have permission, they are an invading army. And the way that it works, the law of the universe is that people on the earth will, in fact, turn against them. So if the only way that the governments can roll that out is that they have to make you all believe that it's not them doing it. And there's already people like me that are already trying to say that. So they're going to have to try and arrest everybody who has ever said that, to shut everybody up or knock them off the internet so they can't tell you what's actually happening. So that's why people are out there all over the universe, all over the world, telling you if aliens show up here, it's the actual governments, the deep states of the governments actually doing it. Okay. The first contact that you're talking about is everybody is trying to say that it's going to be like it was. In fact, they got that term first contact from the Star Trek movie that came out 35 or 40 years ago now. And that was in the history of the Star Trek pantheon that the first time the humans used warp drive, the warp signature was detected by a passing by science vessel from the planet Vulcan, and they were in fact Vulcans. Spock was a Vulcan with the pointy ears. So they changed their course and came to Earth to come down, because if they had that ability to make a warp engine, then therefore they had the ability to travel to other planets. So they had to have contact made with them, because people had to say, okay, look, you're about to step out and sail across the ocean. And there's an entire universe of universal governance that's going on out there. We need you to become aware of, because we don't want you to accidentally move into some territory that doesn't belong to you and start a war and end up having Earth get destroyed. So you have to know your place in the universe. So they came down, they called the movie First Contact. Okay. So now they're talking and pushing this idea of first contact, that aliens are going to show up and tell us who they are. That's part of their plan of, we have to figure out that it's either going to be the bad aliens or the good aliens. We'll do that at the last second, whatever the weather, when they test the waters to see what the weather blows on the earth. If it's scarier for people to think that it's an invading army, they'll do it. If they gain more power and can abolish the control of all governments to put themselves in total control of the earth, they'll do it that way. Last resort. Or they'll say, no, we're your gods. We're the Anunnaki. We created you, and we're here and you need to worship us. And then they'll go, oh, well, that's our gods and we can't do anything about it. And then they're going to eliminate all power from the earth and zap it into, oh no, now we don't have anything to do. We have to surrender to these people because they're our creator gods. And then they'll just take over. That's how they do it. It's one or the other. Or the other way they do it is they come down to the planet and they go, look out, there's these big bad aliens that are on their way here, and we saw them. And we got here first, thank God. And we're here to save you. So let us come down to Earth and set up down there, and we can defend your planet for you. You just have to let us come down there. We have to have your permission. And then you let them come down here, and they turn all their guns up like they're going to defend something. And then they go, oh, yeah, it's too late. Now we're in control. And they lock everybody up that's going to and kill anybody who's going to resist them. Okay. Or the deep state does the same thing and pretends that they're the aliens coming down to save us so that they can take control. Those are the scenarios that are the modus operandi of how evil people in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension invade a country or a planet, invade a planet and take control of it. Already happened here. Happened in 1947, 1948 on this planet. Okay. Already happened. That happened. And it was talked about in 1947 by the non-existent alien called Errol that didn't survive the Roswell incident, that didn't have 3 months worth of investigation being done in the military base at Roswell, that didn't have communication with a woman who was a nurse that worked there that had telepathic abilities, that the CIA and the military intelligence of the United States military were writing down questions and handing them to her, and she was writing everything down. They were listening in and recording everything. None of that happened. Okay, that's a non-incident and didn't happen. But weirdly, the message that came out of that from 1947 was exactly the entire message of an invading army coming down here, and that they were fighting against another army who had control that they called the Old Guard, and that they now owned the planet, but they weren't doing anything about it. And you humans are slaves, and we're on our way to the center of the galaxy to take over the rest of this Milky Way galaxy. And maybe at some point we'll come back to the stop off point that was just here. We were just stopping off here just like they did to get resources to fuel up our war machine so that we can keep going. And maybe we'll come back. Don't know. We don't care about you. So we don't care if you live or die. So you guys can just stay here. And if you go, by the way, the machines they put to keep you in charge, you can leave whenever you want. You just have to figure that out and wriggle your way out. But don't think you're in charge, because if we do come back here, we're just going to put you in prison again. Okay, I did 25 episodes that are on my podcast that you can't find anymore on Facebook or YouTube, because they were all of my podcasts were deleted off of both of those channels. My YouTube channel now has, I don't know how many episodes on there. It's 3 years worth of episodes only. But if you go to my MP3 podcast, those episodes are still up there around the world. You can listen to me talking about that. Okay, so this whole first contact, it's already happened. There are people that are already here. First contact was in 1947 by an invading army who came down here to take control of this planet. Okay? Those people have already been chased off. They've ran off towards the center of the Milky Way galaxy with our people chasing them. A quarantine was put on this star system here, the Sol system, as well as 22 other solar systems in this network, this area, this grid of the Milky Way galaxy, because those people took control of those, and they've all been freed. This one is actually free too. You just don't know it. You just don't know it because you guys haven't woke up to the idea that you're free again. And this is what we're here to teach you. We've been here protecting you ever since. Okay, so 1947, by your timeline of the way it looks to you, but it was actually further back in time than that. Okay, and we came here, and we've been here for a very long time. We went backwards in time to come forwards in time to come here, because we came from a place that was outside of time, so we could enter into the time of this planet at any point that we wanted to, because time doesn't exist. So everything is now from there. And I don't know if you guys understand that exactly, but there is no time where we came from. Time is only the distance that it takes for the physical body to travel from one place to another, the physical body. Okay, so we came down here and entered into this world, came in legally and started getting born into first things, trees, rocks, the air, fish, birds, dogs, cats, and then eventually became humans. We did that so that we could integrate with this matrix, and the matrix wouldn't reject us. Okay, and we were also undercover and got into this so that we could also then change things that they did change, where they tried to show themselves being in control over the last few thousand years, the last 10 to 12,000 years or more. So we came through, a lot of us came through, and then a lot of people came just in the last 50 years, 60 years. A lot of people came in the last 60 years just to be born in this last grouping of lives, to come through to finish this place, to finish this cycle in a body here, to experience this and to help assisting with this. Okay, so the first contact that they keep talking about already happened. I don't know what they're talking about. I'd love to see it when it happens, because if there is a first contact, it's going to be the deep state of this world. It's going to be the evil people in their last ditch effort. They're going to come in with peace and say, we're here to help you. We're here to make peace. We're here to protect you. Or they're going to come in as a hostile army. Either way, they're going to try and come in, and they're going to claim they have permission from someone to be here. Right now, the narrative that they're trying to push is Anunnaki creator gods. The Anunnaki, they're saying, created every religion, that none of the religions are real. The Anunnaki created our society. The Anunnaki created the human race. They're setting things up so that they can show up in a spaceship and say that they're from another place, and that they created us, and that they're in charge. Okay? And that you guys have no choice. And the governments are going to go, don't mess with them. And they're going to kill anybody who talks against them, because that's the modus operandi of evil people, because the only way they can veil you is to kill you, arrest you, and kill you, try you, to be because you're against their narrative, and which is a third dimensional construct of communism, to take control. Okay, so this first contact that they keep talking about has already happened. It's not what they're trying to tell you. It's part of the narrative. Stop pushing that narrative. Stop talking about it. Stop believing in it, because it's not going to happen. There is no first contact. And when people tell you that and they say first contact, I always say, by who? Because if you know there's supposed to be first contact, then tell me who the people are. Ashtar Command. I know Ashtar. Know him personally. Okay. Ashtar Command. Ashtar's not in command. Okay. It's just not. He's not in command. Ask him that. Command structure is a third dimensional construct. So when I say that I'm a commander of a fleet, I'm only telling you that because it's a third dimensional construct so that you understand where I stand as far as a personage of importance. Okay. But it's not the way that you guys think that it is. But the only way that you guys understand is this system that's been set up around this world for 12,000 years, which is a caste system where one person is in charge and everybody below them is in a station. Okay. So you guys have to say that there's one God. There's one leader of a country. There's one dictator. There's one king. There's one queen. There's one CEO. There's one head of a government. There's one head of a state. There's one head of a business. There's a principal at a school. There's a dean at another school. Do you see? There's one person in charge and everybody's beneath that person. So you have this third dimensional construct of the system of power and who's in control of that system of power. So you can't fathom the idea of a free and open society where there is nothing but people doing things because it's the right thing to do. And that everybody has an equal say. Like in this country, I was surprised when I found out that everybody in this country has to vote or you have to pay a fine. But the fine's not real high, so some people just don't vote anyway. But I like the idea of everybody having to vote. I wish they did it in the United States, force everybody to vote, because then you have to really either be super talented with your propaganda to get everybody to vote the way that they want you to vote, or people will start voting the way that they want to vote, and you don't know for certain if you're going to get in power. I'm sure they find ways because they're still manipulating people with the news, with the legacy news media in this country, because I see that happening no different than it is anywhere else in the world, right? Because that's their power structure and has been for 60 years. The internet has disrupted that, and so they're trying to figure out how they can be in control of all that, right? So yeah, Melissa said, "Oh, that explains some of the fiction books I read recently." Nope, not welcome. Goodbye, vampires. Right, exactly. So yeah, the puppet. So they're literally going to try and use those modus operandi. That's how those scenarios that I told you is the only scenarios that anyone's going to use, because that is the scenarios they do use. Right? The vampire has to knock at the door, so they have to some way get in boots on the ground, because if they just show up here as an invading army, people will turn against them. They know that. Even the evil people that are here on the earth know that, and that's why they had that plan themselves. Because if they show up with an invading army, then everybody's going to want to turn against it, because it's their natural instinct to do so. It's one of the laws that happens. So that everybody will turn against them. So they're going to go, yeah, just turn against them. It's a good thing we had this secret technology where we were hiding from everybody, that we are just now showing you that we had, so that we were able to stave off this attack from these evil people. So we need to set aside our differences, and we need to join forces against a common enemy. You'll hear exactly those words. They already started talking about that. George, who was it that said that? It was Ronald Reagan was talking about that and said we need to defend ourselves against a alien species that might be among us. And then he said this in front of the United Nations 48 years ago now, I think, close to 50 years ago. And he said, and yet isn't there one already here? You guys should look that up. That's not AI. I actually heard that when I was young, heard him say that. Okay, so he literally was telling the United Nations, you guys all know that there was already an invading force that came down to Earth. Okay, there's already an invading force among us. And he wasn't talking about like communists or anything like that. He was talking about an off-world force that had already come down to Earth and attempted to take control of it. Okay, and they were like, he's gone crazy. He's lost his mind. He's lost his memory. He's weird. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Never mind that. Nothing to see here now. Nothing to see here. And then you had people in governments coming out in front of their own government. Canadian government did that. Look at Nick Pope, who used to be the defense minister of the UK. Oh, no, he's just crazy. He talks like there's aliens or something. You have all these people that were government officials that were trusted people with high security that are coming out and saying, we need to let the people know that there really are aliens out there. Were they part of the agenda to get you afraid? And that's why they leaked that information, right? So that they can go, oh, big bad aliens. And every time a comet goes by now, it's an alien spacecraft from a billion years ago sailing through. We just have 2 of them right now coming through the solar system, and everybody's going, it's their actual drones. There's actually people on them. So every time now a rock flies into the solar system here, everybody down here says it's an alien spacecraft. Momoa is an example. It turned around and came back. No, it didn't. Okay, no, it didn't. Look it up. Okay, did it change course? It looked like it changed course. But if the universe is flat and the world is flat, then it didn't change course. But if the universe is curved, then it did change course. Well, no, it acted like it was under control by something intelligent. Yeah, maybe the universe itself. Okay, it wasn't a big giant spaceship that's the size of half of our planet that was flying by, and its job was to record things. How would they're just making up stories now? They didn't go out there and take a look at it. Oh, well, it's a theory. It doesn't mean, well, you know, wink, wink. Not true. Okay. You got right now, you got some meteors flying through this solar system, and they're taking pictures of them and they're filming them because they want to see what they look like. And now everybody's running wild. Chicken George is saying the sky's falling, and they're running around. And now they're saying, whoa, first contact. Aliens are on their way. This is so Momoa was the first one, and it saw us. And now these guys are the second wave, and the third wave is going to be an invading army. Do you see what they're doing here? It's the modus operandi. It's fake, not true. Okay. This place is under quarantine. An invading army could not reach this earth to do that. Okay? I don't care how big you guys can try to say they are and how powerful you guys try to say they are. They can't. Okay? This place has been under quarantine since we got here. No one comes here. So if you guys see UFOs, they belong here. They're not from outer space. They're from inner space. They're from here. Okay. So if you're seeing, oh no, I saw a UFO. I watched a video just the other day that people were looking up and going, look, here's a spaceship up in the sky. And they were actually seeing a satellite moving across the sky. And then look, there's another one, and there's another one. And there's like a million satellites circling this planet right now. Look it up. I actually showed you a video that I've posted 2 different times in the last 3 years, a reel that I've made on all of my platforms that show you the actual number and tracking of every satellite that is going around this planet that they know about. And they track them all because they have to, so they don't crash them into each other. And when they send a rocket up into space, because the planet is round, not flat, by the way, when they send a satellite or a rocket up there to go and look at other things, they have to make sure that they don't slam into a satellite that's flowing around up there. How do you think I'm broadcasting to you? I'm broadcasting to you because there's a satellite up there that I'm synced up with. Your cell phone syncs up with a satellite. It goes to a tower that goes to another tower, and that relays to a satellite to project you. Like right now, I'm broadcasting to the world, and you're able to pick it up. Not because how are they going to have a satellite tower? My phone is linking up to the box over here, which is linking up to a tower somewhere nearby. And do you think that tower has the ability to fire 7,000 miles to the United States across the ocean and still have a signal that you guys are picking up somewhere? The only way it can do that is that it has to have a really big antenna, from like when people were shooting up to satellites in the air. Okay, you have to be able to put line of sight to get a hold of that. Okay, there is no line of sight from New South Wales to California. Okay, there's no line of sight here because there is a curvature. It's not flat. Okay, the world's not flat. There's a curvature. So it has to go up to a satellite and then is relayed back down to Earth. So there's like 1 million satellites. I don't know the exact count. It's on my reel because it's not. I didn't do the reel. The reel was done by NASA, who tracks all this stuff. They get reports from every single government. So then there's got to be some that the governments aren't telling anyone about because they're lying and they have secret shit up there. Okay, whatever weapons platforms or spy satellites or whatever. So there's even more that are up there than people know about. Okay, so you can see them even in the daylight if you have good enough eyes. The sun reflects off of the satellite and it puts a light back down to Earth that you can see. At night, because there's only the stars, you can see them, the ones that are moving. They're not spaceships, they're satellites that are going around the Earth. If you track that one and you come back, it'll be back at the exact time that it circles around the Earth and comes back again in the exact same pattern, okay? And it'll be slightly off. Why? Because the planet's turning too. Or it'll be exact because it's in geosynchronous orbit around the Earth. Okay, those aren't spaceships out there flying around. It's just not. Okay, so you guys need to realize that, right? Right? So yeah, Melissa said I had to giggle at that. Okay, so you guys have to realize what's going on here. Okay, it's not what you think it is, but this whole idea of first contact already happened. 86% of the people on this earth aren't from this earth, not physically. Physically, they're all born here, right? On this body, I was born in this body. But the spirit that is in this body that I'm talking to you as, I'm not talking to you as Leonard O'Neill. That's who you're hearing talk, okay? I'm talking to you as my higher self that came from a very high place, that came down here. My name is Kelto, okay? And I'm talking to you as Kelto. Kelto came from a very high plane, and Kelto came into this body and was born. I remember coming into this body when I was a fetus. I remember gestating in my mom's tummy. I remember hearing her talk. I remember telling her that I wanted her to read scientific research because I wanted to know what was going on this earth, and I needed to brush up on all of that. My mother told me stories that I had no idea what I was reading. I just know that I had to read every scientific magazine or periodical that I could find, and I had to read it all, and I don't have any idea why. And she just kept reading it. It's because that was me saying I wanted this knowledge. You need to start at my education now. I remember being born. That hurts. That's painful. It squeezes your head. It's painful. You come out. You're in a water bath. You're in a sauna that you can breathe the water in there, and that's what your lungs have been breathing for the 9 months of gestation. And then you come out and they have to pull that water out of your lungs and you have to inhale only this air. That hurts. And you're coughing and you're spitting up the water, and then you have to inhale this air and get used to that. Like when I was born, they pulled you out upside down so that the water would drain out, and they smacked you so that you would then drain the rest of the water and start crying. They don't do that anymore. Now they shake you a little bit and get all the water out of your lungs and start on the chest and get you to start crying, blow in your face, things like that. Okay, to get you to take a breath. So now they do it a lot less violent. But when I came out, it was one leg up, draining the water out, and smack them, and that hurt. I was like, dude, just give me a second and I'll start breathing. Right? I remember all of that. I remember my very first step. I remember wearing diapers. I remember all of that. Okay, it's not me making that up. It's not me just saying that because I want to be cool. There's other people on this planet who remember those same things. Okay, they remember being in the womb. They remember gestation. They were conscious and aware at the time of this happening. I'm no different right now than I was then. Okay, I'm the exact same person with the exact same knowledge that I have now when I was then. But then I had to learn to make my body move and say words in this language, right? So I had to learn how to talk, or I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to crawl, then run, all of that, okay? But then I couldn't, even when I learned how to speak, I had to not tell people everything that I know now. I had to keep that under wraps. And it was only every now and then that I would throw that information out. And my family, the ones who are alive, I'm pretty sure they might remember the stories. When I was little, I was like 8 or 10, I think I was 10. And I was talking to my cousin, Virginia, and she was asking me questions, and I was giving her real answers and talking to her like I would talk to you now. And she looked around the room and said, does anybody notice that this child who's 10 years old talks like he's 35? And my mom was like, yeah, he does that. My dad was like, yeah, what's he saying? Because my father knew. My father told me that, you don't talk about Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. And so my father came over and was like, what is he saying? And she says, he's telling me things that a child shouldn't know the answer to. He already knows the answers to it. And my dad just looked at me, and I was like, I'm not telling her anything that she can't already know. So I started doing that then. So she was like, let's talk. And she was asking me real questions. All right, so what do you know? Where are you from? What's going on? So I started telling her that stuff. Okay. So I was like 10 at the time. Might have been 11. I think it was 10. But then I had to keep that information quiet until a certain time. That time's over. So I've been coming out with it now for a while, explaining to people behind the scenes. Anybody who knows me behind the scenes knows that I've been doing this for a lot longer, but officially out to the world, I didn't start doing that until last year. Okay. And now we're coming out with even more so because we're moving into the next phase of what's going on this earth, because we're literally moving into the next chapter of the human condition on earth because of where Saul is taking this planet. That was all planned out by the creator of this universe for a time. Okay. That time has ended now. And the people that are here that think they own the place and in charge, they're not going to just let it go. They're going to continue to try and do whatever they can in their death throes to convince you to kill yourselves, to let them blow you up, to let them get into a third world war, to let them ramp things up, to kill off as many people as they possibly can. And if that doesn't work, they're going to get you to allow them to turn communist by telling you that socialism is the way, because we'll give you everything for free. And we, and instead of equality, it's equity, because equity means everybody has the same thing. Equality says everybody has the same thing, but evil people don't do good, and they don't actually give the same thing over. They already started that about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So we have to make sure that everybody has the same thing. So we have to be in control of everything. Okay. So that's power structure, once again, putting it into a third dimensional caste system that is maritime law, so that they can then control it. Social scores, apps, social scores, social identities, that they'll go first country, then worldwide with the identities, and controlling you with a social score on your app, that if you, just like TikTok's already doing, because they already do it with their people over in China, that you get 3 strikes and you're out. So we're warning you, and we're already controlling you. You either do what we tell you to do and not what you want to do, or else. They're already starting to do that. They're doing that over in the UK now. Those of you who live over in England, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So it's already starting, and they're going to ease that into every single country, because they need to, because they have to shut people like me up. Okay. They're in their death throes, and it can't be stopped. The more they try to control the population, the less control they're going to have over the population. It's the way things work. It's just done that way. Right. Reese, welcome, brother. Now Reese is over there on Facebook, right? Welcome, brother. Namaste. So that's what's going on here. So to answer that question, going all the way back to the beginning, the woman who said, yeah, I keep hearing that. What does that mean? It means that the Earth is moving into a place in this Milky Way galaxy that has changed the energy from Mars, the masculine warlike energy, to Venus, the feminine loving energy. So that we literally are now going to move away from the masculine Kundalini energy and move back towards the Kunda buffer energy, which is the feminine energy. And we're going to end up at 0 point with a balance right in between the masculine and the feminine. Okay. So it's not going to be that everybody's going to become androgynous. That's just not what the way things work. However, no matter what your character is, what your traits are, whether you're a man or a woman, or whether you're very masculine as whichever, none of that is what I'm talking about, where the balance is going to come in. Everyone thinks that, so wait a minute now, I'm not going to be a manly man anymore. I'm going to be what? I'm going to be gay now? Yeah, see, everybody's going to be a female, and everybody's going to be androgynous. It's just, that's not what that means. You're thinking in the physical again. You're thinking in the 3D, in the flesh. And so that's all that. If you're thinking that, that's because you're living in the flesh, you're living in 3D, and that's all you know. It's a spiritual thing, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you're a sexual preference in the physical plane. Okay, doesn't have anything to do with that whatsoever. The same person who is more masculine can still be spiritual. Same person who is more feminine can still be just as spiritual. It has nothing to do with your personality. Your individual personality is your individual personality. However, the overall reaching energy that is going to govern this earth is going to be more towards the feminine side, away from where it is currently, back towards the center of balance, so that the wisdom, the understanding, the love is going to come back into life around here. It's not going to overwhelm it to where we're all of a sudden going to switch roles and the women are going to be in charge of the world and the men are going to be slaves, and we're going to have the women are going to get to have their revenge on men and make them sweep the floor and stay home and give birth, and I'm going to be able to go out and cheat and do. That's all third dimensional constructs again. And that's ego. Ego wants revenge. Ego always wants their one-ups, their revenge on all of that. That's third dimension, third dimensionality, third dimension warlike conflict. That's masculine energy. Okay. We're moving away from that to where people are going to look at conflict in a different way. It's not going to be get a gun, get a weapon, go and storm the castle. That's masculine. It's going to be, no, we're not doing that because we're not children. It's going to be more feminine. It's going to be more wisdom. It's going to be more adult. Okay. So what's happening here is not this crazy balance of men are going to become feminine and women are going to become masculine and we're going to have this androgyny. That's not it at all. Okay. What's going to happen is spiritually, people are going to wake up. Spiritually, more and more people are going to wake up. So in the mind of people, the people are going to start waking up and become adults, not children mentally, become adults and see things for the way they really are, because they're balancing their personality and moving into their higher existence, moving into the realization that you are a higher self. I am. Not just I think, therefore I am. I am. Okay. And it started already, right? Melissa says it started already. Absolutely, it started already. It started a long time ago. But now the seminal point, okay? The wave has been cresting of all of the people that are waking up, but it hasn't reached that seminal point of no return to where everyone is going to wake up. We are now reaching that pinnacle. We're reaching that seminal point of no return. The wave is now going to crest and crash down, and it's going to just dominate everything and change everything. That's where we are. We're in that place where it can't be stopped anymore already. It just hasn't crested and it hasn't started to crash down as it gets closer to land. That's what's happening. So the wave has been beginning a long time ago, and the societal structure and ideology of society has moved further and further and further away from that warlike energy, further and further away from that masculine energy. People say the world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's worse now than it's ever been. No, it's not. Jesus said you were born free, and they killed him for it. You were born free, and you should have the ability to go to heaven whenever you want. You don't need the church telling you what to do. You don't need their laws. You don't need to pay them money. You can find your way to heaven. And so that's why they said they say you got to have a personal relationship with God, because they're still trying to control you. Jesus said those things and they killed him. I'm saying those things and they're not killing me. Things have changed. Do you see? For the better. Otherwise, they would have murdered me long ago for speaking like this. I've said more volatile things than Jesus did 2,000 years ago, and they crucified him over it. I will say something else that got someone killed a couple of thousand years before that. The world is round, not flat. Socrates got killed for saying the exact same thing I just said. Things have gotten better, not worse. Look at the way things were in the 1940s compared to now. Look at your grandparents and your great-grandparents and how they spoke and how they acted, and think about the way things are now. You guys all know what I'm talking about. You have a family member who's older, and you listen to them talk and you go, wow, did that person really say that? Was that a cool thing? I was just watching a video, and one of the comedians, I can't remember his name right now. I'll think of his name in a second. He was his whole comedy routine. I mean, there's one in the 90s into the 2000s, Andrew Dice Clay, for instance. Another one that was, I can't think of his name, very famous for being racist. Okay. And they were showing him talking in the early 2000s, which was kind of at the end of his career, and it was already waning, but people were still putting up with it. And it was right after that they didn't. The same thing around that time was when Andrew Dice Clay was doing his shtick of being very racist, and that went away as well. And he eventually stopped doing that and then made movies and got away from that persona. Everyone thought that's who he was in real life. And he was like, that's not me. That's just the character I play because it's funny. And so he stopped playing that character. He stopped playing the Dice Man. And then just went about being Andrew Clay because things changed. Do you see? In the year 2000, just right around that time, 99 to 2010, things changed. And it was not okay for people to tell funny jokes about being racist, right? I mean, that guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he was very famous for it and had his own television show called CPO Sharky when I was a boy. And he was a CPO in the American Navy, Chief Petty Officer in the American Navy. And he was in the barracks with his men, and they were all different races. There was one white guy, and there was a Chinese guy, and a Mexican guy, and a black guy, and, like that, all the different races. And he was just badgering them about being racist, badgering them the whole time. He was on stage in this video that they were just showing of him that I just watched on one of the platforms yesterday and went, wow, look at that. He would never be able to say that. He's sitting there and he's in the crowd. He's standing there in front of the crowd, and he looks over and there's two Africans sitting there. And I think he was in America, so they were African Americans. They were sitting there, and he said a joke, and they were laughing. He goes, oh, look at you two. You're over here sitting here laughing while your brother is in my dressing room stealing all my shit. Everyone laughed. That was funny. That was funny at the time. You would never say that today. Things have changed for the better, okay? Things have changed. You have to look backwards in time to see the change. This is another reason why these people that are trying to take over and tell you that the world has gone worse, they're trying to eradicate history. That's why they did that during the Renaissance. They burned all history, and they did it before that when Julius Caesar burnt the library at Alexandria. They have to eradicate history so that you don't have any. It's the first thing that progressives do when they gain control by telling you that socialism is what you want, and they turn it into communism in the country. When they take over, the very first thing they do is stop free-thinking people from speaking, like myself. They shut you up by social scores, social things, and then eventually just make laws that you can't say things that offend them, and it turns into everything that they don't agree with, that is free thinking. Okay, they did it with two women in the early, about 1,000 years ago now, when they came up with the witch's hammer. That was a book that told how to call every free-thinking woman a witch and burn her at the stake or drown her or kill her outright to shut any other free-thinking women up. And anybody that didn't play along and shut up, you killed them. You called them a magic user and a witch, and proved that they were a witch by saying, if she's a witch, she'll float on the water. So we'll throw her in water, and if she floats, then we kill her because she's a witch. If she drowns, then she's not a witch. Guess what? She's also dead. Problem solved. Okay. They did that with a lot of different things. We'll burn them at the stake if a witch doesn't burn. So if she doesn't burn while we're burning her, then we have to kill her because she's a witch. And if she does die, well, then she wasn't a witch, but hey, she's dead. They did this in real life. In the United States, it got so big, they're now people remember it for calling it the Salem witch hunts in the United States. And everyone's like, well, it just happened in Salem, right? And everyone thinks we're talking about Salem, Oregon, on the West Coast. It wasn't. It was in Salem, I think, Massachusetts on the East Coast. Okay, and it was 150 years earlier than people think. But people around the world think it only happened in that one place. That's just the last place it happened in. It happened all over the world for almost 1,000 years because women and femininity had to be shut up. It doesn't happen anymore. No one cares. There's still kind of a little bit of fear from the Wiccans to talk out loud, but in most countries they can do that and get away with it. Okay, some places you still can't do that if you're Wiccan. But in most places, you can get away with it. But 200 years ago, you'd have been put to death for it. Things have changed for the better. Do you see? But if you don't have that history, you don't know that. So they eradicate history, keep you from looking at it, and then tell you that things have gotten worse, and you need to give control to them so they can keep things from getting worse. And that's their attempt at changing things so that they can be back in control. And they need to gain control as fast as they can because they're losing control faster than they thought they were. Okay. And now it's downhill for them. Things have changed. They're changing. As of today, on this earth, all timelines have converged, and we are no longer living against time. We are living with it. Okay? The energy is shifting. It's going to change, and people are going to notice it. They're already noticing it. Things are moving away from the masculine. That time is over. Baktun 12 is ended. We are now moved into Baktun 13. The big round has ended, and the new 3,000-year cycle is starting today. Okay? So this way of life is going to cease to exist. Not all the people, we're not all going to die. The things are going to change. Governments are going to change. Ideologies are going to change. Look around. The fastest growing spiritual practice on the earth right now is Magdalenian. Is the belief that Mary Magdalene was supposed to be in charge of the Christian church. Okay? The Roman Catholic Church in the 1500s murdered 2 million people. Maybe before that. Murdered, you have to read the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail. It's been since the year 2003 that I read that book, so it's been a long time. It's been 20 years. I'll have to reread it. Find the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail and read it. Dan Brown talked about it because that was one of the books he based his movie or his book, The Da Vinci Code, on that became a movie. Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Look and read that book. In that book, they show you that Mary Magdalene was supposed to carry on the church, and it wasn't that they made that up. They said that their book was based on a book that came out in the 1800s, and they know that that book that came out in the 1800s that they based their book on came from a book that was older than that. So people were writing books after reading another book and rewriting it and talking about it and handing that book down in the knowledge of that information for generations. That's why Dan Brown wrote the story, What If It's True? What if Jesus was married and he was married to Mary Magdalene? Why is that important? That's not true. That's blasphemy. Look up the religion. Look up the Hebrew religion at the time, 2,000 years ago. If you were a man and you were above the age of 30, 31 or above, you had to be married in that religion at the time. So Jesus had to be married. That's one example. Second example, okay? If he was going to be called rabbi by anyone and acknowledged as a rabbi, he had to have been married. He also had to have children. That was a law in that time period. Okay. So then you look at the pictures of Mary Magdalene, even in the storyline of every single movie she's ever been in, including the Chosen. Mary Magdalene always wore a hijab on her head. She always wore a cover over her head. Look up the religion, the Hebrew religion at the time. Women who wore a cover on their head wore that cover on their head so the people would know they were married. Look this up. I'm not making any of this up. This is actual law from the religion at the time. Okay? In the book of Philip and a few other books, Mary Magdalene was referred to Jesus's companion. Doesn't mean wife or anything like that. Today, 2,000 years ago, in that language, at that time, the word companion meant spouse. Okay? Look those things up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Claim I'm lying and I made this stuff up, and look up real law from the Jewish religion at the time of Jesus. You will find out that Jesus had to have been married or he would have been stoned to death. And he could not have been called rabbi, which means teacher, and taught in the synagogue, which is a fact in history that he did, because they would have had to have recognized him as a rabbi and allowed him to talk. And he did both of those things on several occasions. That means he had to have fit the criteria. So he had to have been married. He had to have had children. And then who was his wife? Well, everyone said that Mary was his wife. Mary walked around with a headdress on all the time. Back then, they did it. Now it's law. It's moved into Sharia law where women have to cover their face, cover their head. They have to wear a burqa and they have to wear a hijab. And then you get a choice in some of the religions that's not Sharia law, where if you don't want to wear one, you don't have to. If you want to wear one, then you dedicate yourself to wearing one. 2,000 years ago, women only wore those in the Hebrew religion. If they were married, they would put those on with children, even if they were widowed. Okay. So Mary Magdalene is always depicted as having that on her head. That means she was married. Everyone knows about it. Everyone's known it. If you know anything about history, if you know anything about the history of that religion, you know that to be true. Look it up. Don't believe me. Okay. So something changed. When did that change and what changed? Okay. The knowledge changed when they wanted to control things. They had to change those things, and they just took the history away and didn't tell you about the history of it. You don't know. If you're not Jewish, you don't know the history. If you're a Jewish person and you know the history of your own religion, you know that what I'm telling you is true. Okay? But they're not talking about it. Why? They say that Jesus wasn't even legit, although we have actual Roman history to prove that he was. Okay? And people are talking about that now. So things had changed on purpose, but the history was found, and things are now taking a different light. So what's happening is that right now, currently, the movement that I see happening on the earth is that Mary Magdalene and that feminine energy is now becoming the quickest energy. And Mary Magdalene, because she was the deity who was supposed to be in charge of the entire Christian church. You're finding that starting to take hold, and the churches can't stop it. Okay? So there's a reason for that. The Roman Catholic Church at the time sent people, when Mary went to the south of France, go over to the south of France and look it up, check with the people in the south of France. They say Mary showed up over there, and they have a skull that they parade around. The people are like, that's not hers, that's not hers. Okay, let's pretend that skull's not hers, but it's still, they're claiming that it was hers and that she was there. And what was she teaching? She was teaching the way. And what happened to her? Well, she died, and her children, this girl who was a slave girl, her servant, married a prince and became the queen of the south of France. And her kids, her slave, could talk to animals and heal with their hands. And that person's children, who was a Merovingian queen, their children could also talk to animals and could heal with their hands. This is not fable. This is history. And over in that part of the south of France was a religion that was being taught, carrying on Jesus's way by Mary, right? I see that my brother was over there on Instagram. I don't know if he's still there. Collectible design over there, and what's this other one? Mish. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Welcome over there on Instagram. Say something over there. Hopefully my brother's still over there. My brother's in theological college, so he's learning right now this stuff. And let's hope that he's still paying attention to that and reading all the scrolls and all the stuff. So in the south of France, Mary showed up and was teaching the way. It turned into a religion, and eventually they became very popular and very strong and powerful. And they made an edict saying that the church in Rome that was usurped by Peter was not teaching the way Jesus was telling that everybody that they should be teaching, and that it was corrupted. So the Pope at the time sent the knights over and murdered everybody in the south of France that knew anything about that religion, but it still exists. We still know about that history because the information got out. And we're being told about it. And there's people in the south of France that still venerate Mary once a year. I don't know the exact date, so please don't get angry with me, right? Reese was over there, and he says, yeah, I was over there, and now I'm over here now. Right? So Reese was over there, and he came over to Facebook. But yeah, you were over there. So I just happened to see it again, and it just went down the list. So So today they still teach that Mary showed up over there and taught the way Jesus wanted to, and that she was supposed to be the one that was supposed to be leading the church. So that is what's growing now in the world, is that Mary Magdalene and that Magdalenian feminine, she's going to quickly be venerated and move to this figure that is, I think, going to be the embodiment of the feminine energy that is now taking hold around the earth, which is okay because she should have had this position 2,000 years ago. So let's hope that continues to grow in some way, right? There's people teaching that around the world. I don't know what they're teaching. It's going to probably turn into a religion and get corrupted, just like everything else. But at least it's there, and everything serves a purpose. Okay, so that's what's going on in the world, guys. You guys need to become aware of that. Don't believe a word I've said. Just to assume that I'm making it all up and that I don't know what I'm talking about, and look it up. I implore you to look it up. I tell people all around the world, I use Socrates' quote. I can't make anyone believe anything. The only thing I can hope to do is to get you to start thinking for yourself, right? Somebody said to me when I was on the Commander Chameleons podcast on TikTok last week, somebody in the crowd said, do you think you just know everything? And I said, no, I only know enough to know. Another Socrates quote, I only know enough to know that I don't know anything. Okay. Because the truth is that the knowledge that I have is the knowledge of what's going on on this world, and the knowledge of what the laws are that govern third dimensional and the first 6 dimensions of reality, or of this illusion, the first 6 dimensions of the density as well, which is the spiritual realm, not the physical realm. The physical realm is dimension, the spiritual realm is the density. I also know above that, but can't tell you that here. Okay. I came from the 11th density, and I came down here, and I was born in this body. I was born in many bodies. I've been on this earth for 30 lifetimes in 30 different bodies. And this is the 30th one. Okay. That I'm in. And if we do our job right, I won't have to come back into this earth in another body. I'll be able to leave, because you guys will have complete control back, and you'll know it, and you guys will have your freedom once again by 2050, and I'll be able to then live as long as I want to live in this lifetime, and then at some point decide that I'm done and leave. Okay. And there's millions of us who came here from different places, and some of you around this world listening to my voice, you're going to hear this and you're going to realize that. And some of you are going to say, yeah, I'm one of them. Some of you are going to say, what? This guy's crazy. It's okay. You are where you are in your development, and I'm not here to be your savior. I'm not here to do anything other than restore the balance and give you tools so that you have what you need to be able to graduate when you're ready to graduate. So I'm not here for anything else besides answering your questions and helping you guys in some way to find the door with the keys, to show you those are the keys sitting right there, and that's the door. Whenever you're ready, pick up those keys and go and unlock that door and open it up and see what happens. Okay. So, all right. So Woo Rider says, thank you for doing the capital to get my attention, because I didn't have my glasses on, right? You said, what do you say when people say Jesus Christ was an alien? I'll address that. And then you said, Leonard, are there other planets just like Earth in the cosmos right now living like we do? Let me answer that one first. Yes. And then I'll come back to that. Okay. So was Jesus an alien? Jesus was a soul like myself. And then I'll get back to the other question. Jesus was a soul like myself who came here from a higher plane, who came down here to do exactly what I came down here to do. The difference is Jesus came down here to, in a very big way, be in the physical, crucified and die in the physical plane to show all of the world, to leave that for history. I'm not here to do that. That's already been done. I'm here to continue that message, along with a bunch of other people. Millions of us have come here to do the exact same thing. But the Savior character has already been lodged in all the religions. Okay, so I'm not here to become the new Savior character in any religion. I'm here to finish more. I'm here like Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was here to do the same thing. The Buddha was here to do the same thing. Even Mahatma Gandhi was here to do the same thing. The souls that were in those bodies were here to do the same thing that I'm here to do. The souls that were in the body of Marduk and Thor and Jesus and then the like, Moses, they were here to sacrifice themselves in a very big way to leave this big footprint in history to show you these things. So Jesus came, he didn't die for your sins. He died as your sins to show you that you're supposed to be dying and having the dying in the physical and being born again in the spiritual. So to be born again isn't to go and get dunked in water or have water thrown on you and have somebody go, in nomine Patri Filii Spiritus Sancti. That's not being born again. Although it is in a physical sense, in a spiritual way, you dedicate yourself to the way of following Jesus. So in some sense, you are doing exactly what he said to do, but you don't need to have the baptism, but that is the sacrifice of the physical to have yourself baptized. So there is truth to that. But the truth is, being born again, you're supposed to be dedicating yourself. So I mean, truly dedicating yourself, so people can go in and lie about it and say, I'm dedicating myself and dunk in water and come up and go, now I'm saved, and then not change their ways and stay in service to self and live in the flesh. Jesus was teaching that it is your death in the physical plane and your resurrection in the spiritual. That's why the raising of Lazarus was to show you the same thing, that just because you go to sleep in the physical doesn't mean that you're done. And he rose Lazarus up and reanimated Lazarus's body to show that you're everlasting. And that was the message that was supposed to be there. So was Jesus an alien? From the perspective of a third dimension, he was here legally, and he even said that in the scripture, I am here legally. That didn't mean I'm here legally from Judea, or I'm here legally from Bethlehem and I'm in Jerusalem. It meant I'm spiritually here legally. He came in and was born into the physical body, so his soul was lowered back into a body and veiled. And by the time he was 8 years of age, he was completely unveiled. The same thing with me. I was born and I was mostly unveiled, but not 100% unveiled until I hit about 8, and then I was completely unveiled, because there's some things where you kind of have to and now, hold on. Sorry, I was buffing and I saw that. So from the perspective of was he his soul from the earth? It was not. He was from a higher plane. Was his physical body from the earth? Yes. He didn't arrive here in a spaceship. Okay. He didn't come here in a spaceship and land and get out and I'm Jesus. Okay. His soul came here and was born into a body. My soul came here. I was born into this body. So by all rights, I'm here legally. I'm not an alien because I was born in this body. I was inserted at the time of conception, and then I grew up, turned into this person, and I have a name and I have an identity, and I was here. I'm not a walk-in. Okay, I was born in this body, but I'm not from here. This isn't my first time or even my 10th time being on the planet. I've been here for 30 lifetimes, and I'm billions of years old. In fact, trillions of years old. My soul has been around since the first creation, okay, of souls. That's how far back I go. Okay, I've been around for a very, 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 very long time, away from going back to the Creator, and have came down here from a place that I was about ready to go back to the Creator after one more step, to be reintegrated with the Creator, and then literally came all the way down to the third dimension to come back in here. So in a strictest sense of the word, was he an alien? The soul that was in the body that was Jesus was not from here. The body that the soul that was in was from here. He was not an alien. He didn't physically come here in a ship. Neither did I. Okay. So the other question you had was, are there other planets just like Earth and the cosmos that are living like we do? Absolutely, yes. Okay. Everywhere where there's third dimensional life, this scenario happens. Okay. How long does it take for, and then that didn't come through. So what is it saying? That it's now saying that Facebook and Instagram are not, that might be from before. Okay, now it was saying they weren't responding, so I didn't get all of your thing. How long does it take for someone to come back to Earth in a new body? Lately, less. Normally, let's start with normally. Okay, so the answer to your question, yes, every place where there's third dimension, it's saying that Facebook is not responding. So I'm going to wait. It looks like Instagram and Facebook are offline right now. So I'm live only on YouTube, it looks like, right now. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll see if we can get these to reboot here. Otherwise, I may have been saying too much and gotten bumped off of Meta. So let me look at these two windows and see if I can get them to come back on. Otherwise, I dropped off from Instagram. I may no longer be live there. And we'll see if I'm live on Facebook. Otherwise, I'll just continue because I'm recording. And then if they come back up, they come back up. So to continue with YouTube, because I don't know if you're still on there, but it seems like you are. How long does it take? Okay. So how long does it take for someone to come back? Wait, let me finish what I was saying. Everywhere there's third dimension, there are people. Sometimes it could be humans. It could be other creatures that are third dimensional creatures. Okay. And they are, yeah, I'm going to exit the pages now that are Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to close them and reboot them and see. And then I'm going to reopen them and see what I can do here. So let me go up over here and then reboot them and see if I can see if I'm still live on there. So I apologize to you if I'm not. It looks like I'm still live, so that's a good thing, right? So hold on, let me over here. Okay, so I'm still live over here, and I apologize because I didn't because on my computer it was saying that I wasn't live on those other channels. So I'm still live over there. So yeah, I'm back and I can look at the chat. So let me finish. So third dimensional life works this way. When you become self-aware, you come in and you're inserted. If you're a brand new soul, say you're a brand new soul that was created, you come down to a first dimensional planet or a planet that supports first dimensional, second dimensional life. Not always does it also support third dimensional life, and it could be just first dimensional and not second dimensional. You go to a place of that dimension, the first dimension, and then you are something on this planet. You'd be a rock or a tree or an amoeba or water or air. You would be something that is the structure of this place. The walls behind me were made of wood. The glass used to be sand. This glass used to be sand, and this was fabric. You know what I'm saying? Everything is alive. So you exist as one of those things, but you're not self-aware. You just do what you're supposed to be doing. You are instinctively being what it is that you're being. Then you move from first dimension to a second dimensional being. That's something that is animate, a tree, a blade of grass, a bird, a cat, a dog, a fish, a dolphin. Dolphin's not a good example because dolphin has a brain as big as us and they're conscious. So that's not a good example. Retract dolphin. Okay. And then when you become self-aware in second dimension, I think, therefore I am, because you know how animals work on instincts. You work on instinct, but then you become smarter as you're doing that, and your brain expands. You get smarter. They know that, like in the North American continent, we have squirrels over there, and scientists have proven that a squirrel's brain expands and gets bigger. They become more intelligent in the wintertime because they bury food to survive the winter. And then they remember every place they buried food, so that when there is no food source, they can go and pull up the food and eat it. And they know that they need to live a certain amount of time instinctively, and they bury enough food to make sure they make it through the winter before it gets back to springtime again. Their brain gets more intelligent. They become more aware of what's going on. And then when they don't need that brain capacity, the brain shrinks a little bit and they don't remember what they did. But in that expansion and contraction of their consciousness, they become self-aware at some point, just like every other animal. If we have a dog or a cat and we name it and we call it by that name, it starts to associate itself as something, that name. So we humans in 3D help them to grow faster. If we weren't around, they would still get there on their own. Then they become self-aware. Then everywhere in the universe where life is sustained, third dimensional life is sustained, when someone becomes self-aware, then they're inserted into a third dimensional being that is capable of being self-aware. On Earth, it happens to be a human. So you come in as a human, you're self-aware. I think, therefore I am. Okay. So then you start your ascension at that point, and you are literally trying to figure out what's going on in the universe and asking questions like you're doing now. Then you start to become aware of yourself, higher self. That's fourth dimensional thinking. So as you start doing that and you start thinking, wait, I have an immortal soul, there's something beyond this, and it's not just this physical body, there's something else. You're moving into the capability of becoming a fourth dimensional being, right? Now my cat's in the window. I'm going to have to close the window because he's going to stand there and meow at me because he wants to come in. Hold on, buddy, and I'll come get you, okay? But not right now. So he's probably hungry and he wants to come in. So I'll have to go get him in a few minutes, which means I'll probably be getting off here soon. Or I'll just run out and bring him in, and then he's going to come in here and meow. So now he's going to go to the other window and meow at me. So you become self-aware, and then you start becoming self-aware of, I have an immortal soul. I am an immortal soul. When you move into the space of I am, not I have a higher self, a higher soul, or a higher spirit. I have a higher self. When you start associating yourself and moving into that, I am a higher self. I am something more than this person. I am not the pain body. I am not the physical flesh. I am not the ego. I am not the thinking mind. I am an immortal soul that is above this. That's 4D thinking. So now you're going from becoming self-aware in 2D so that you can graduate into 3D. 3D is I think, therefore I am. And when you become self-aware again as not the physical thing, but an actual different body, which is a spiritual body, then when you have done that and you have finished the cycle of the things you needed to learn down here in 3D, then when you have finished that and you, okay, I've learned everything I need to learn, and I also know I am, then when you die in that life, however you die in that life, you have the ability in normal life, you have the ability to move into a fourth dimensional planet. Okay. So the angels, then he asked, let's see, can I stand, I can't stand Facebook's suppression of speech. Yeah, right. I don't know if it was just weirdly, I was still live there, but my computer didn't think I was. So it's possible that it was just my internet connection here or my latency, because when I closed the windows, reopened Facebook, I was still live there. But I just couldn't tell that because it wasn't reacting. So it might have been just my computer tripping. But yes, there is a suppression of that stuff, and it's annoying to me too. So I don't know if I'm still on Instagram because I closed that page. Normally when I close that, it goes off. So I may not be live on Instagram anymore, but I am still live on Facebook and on YouTube. Okay. So then you would have the ability to move into 4D, and that's what we're doing here. And when I said normally you would have that ability, some places get stuck because of some calamity that happens. In this particular instance, this particular college was already supposed to be harder to get out of on Earth. So all the people that are here are the ones that volunteered to come here, not just coming here by happenstance. So everybody that's here volunteered to come here, and this place is harder to wriggle away from. But then knowledge of all of this that I'm telling you was given to people on this earth by people who knew this information that I have, and it was given to people that are evil, and they took this information and they used this to eradicate, basically just by moving out of the way and distracting everyone, the tools that help you to be able to move into the I am portion of who you are, that I am an immortal soul. They've taken that from you, and they've controlled all the religions and eradicated all that and moved it out and just edited out all these books out of these religions to keep you trapped here because of their legacy, that they want their families to be in charge of the rest of the world. This is what I got kicked off TikTok for, because I was telling this out of turn, which is not in any way a conspiracy theory, because you can look it up in history and they actually did that and edited everything. So how is this a conspiracy theory that I'm telling you, or misinformation that I'm telling you? I'm telling you what happened in real history. People on this earth edited the Bibles and took out books that they didn't want you to know about and kept the books in that they wanted you to know about in every single Bible. That's the truth of what happened. I'm not making anything up. Okay. So you would ordinarily have the ability, when you reached, it takes about 7 to 10 lifetimes to get to that point. You would ordinarily have the ability to, at that point, leave if you wanted to, but you've been stuck here. And so people like me had to come down here to help you get unstuck. So your next question was, let's see, what dimension would angels be? It depends on where they are. Generally, what you guys call as angels or archangels are the 11th density. They are, or the 12th density. Okay. We are the Patal. Okay. We are those people who were created first, and we help govern the rest of all of the realms below. Okay. So when things like this happen to where they get stuck, sometimes when they're stuck really hard, like in this one, in this particular scenario, and then there is an idea to change the scenario and upgrade everybody without having a calamity, because normally what you would have is a planet killing thing like it happened here 77,000 years ago and 130,000 years ago, where you had a planet killing incident that killed off 98% of the population of this planet. That was a culling where people would have moved up to the fourth dimension. But because of the groups of people 12,000 years ago in the South America and Central America over in the Americas, that they disappeared and were able to ascend as an entire species or an entire race of people in cities over there, where 2 million people, by teaching what we're teaching you now, that was one of the experiments to see if we could do that, and everybody ascended at the same time, and that was a rapture where people just disappeared and there were people left behind. That's where you get the story of the rapture that was going to happen. So that came into play, and then it was possible that we could have these raptures on the planet where you could have groups of people who believed in this thing, learn this knowledge, and then basically ascend all at the same time together in a collective. And that was the way things were going to go. However, then the people here realized what was happening, who were in control, and they changed things and decided to come up with the knowledge of the doomsday clock, where the whole world was going to come to an end and everyone was going to die, to defeat the narrative of everybody can ascend together. So they changed that into there's going to be the left behind, and most of you are going to be left behind, and oh no, the planet's coming to an end and we're all going to die. Fear, 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 give us control. And then they morphed that into, look, aliens are coming down to take control. And that's where the whole evolution of that came into play. So the angels, depending on what you see, the archangels and then the angels below them are the 12th, the 11th, and the 10th density beings who then volunteer to come and help the lower planes. Those people who make that a profession, or dedicate hundreds of thousands of years or millions of years to that, are what you guys know as angels and archangels. They were souls who come from a very high plane of existence, who then come back and try to help without interfering with the evolution of people. So they would come in and do things like, I've been here for 30 lifetimes that you're aware of, and I would do things in a way to change things for the positive without disrupting free will on the earth. Now, because you guys are in a place here on earth, I can tell you this stuff on a podcast because you're ready to hear it, to understand it, and to use this information to help you expand your consciousness further, because you, as a collective, have gotten to a place 40 years ago, 60 years ago, I couldn't say these things out loud on television because I would just sound too crazy and nobody would believe me. I was saying these things individually to people, but they were thinking I was crazy. And then it would be one or two people and the population that would go, wait, what? And because they were awake enough. Okay. So because of free will, we can only do things and say things out loud that the general population is ready for. So I can say these things out loud to the world because the world is ready to hear this. The majority of the people are ready to hear this. So angels come from that high dimension. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know here, because I'm on. I can read Facebook and YouTube, but I can't see Instagram anymore because I closed that and didn't reopen it to see if it was live. I just went to open Facebook. So if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask those questions, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, share this out. I didn't share it out to anybody at all. Let's see if there was any other question that Wu had here. Does it take someone to come back? Oh, yes, I never answered that. How long does it take someone to come back in a new body? If you're talking about the evolution of a third dimensional being and the reincarnation, normally it takes about 100 years. Okay. So normally when all things are, Occam's razor, when all things are equal, normally it would be, say I died now, then I would go, the first thing that happens is, you guys know the angel of death comes to get you. Someone comes and takes you to the place of healing. Check to make sure that your soul's not damaged, your immortal soul, and heal it if you need to heal, and acclimate you to being no longer in this body, and your memory comes back. You remember who you were and what's going on. Then you go to the place of reflection with your guides, your family members, and you start reflecting on your life. It usually takes 100 years before you come back down to be in a new body, because you usually come through in a group of people with your moms, your dads, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and things like that. You guys usually come down as a family unit. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5 of you that have soul contracts together, that you help one another. So it usually takes about 100 years so that you guys can all plan what you're going to do, because everybody else dies with you. And then you guys plan what you're going to do, and you come back down into family units someplace on the earth in some dynamic. So it usually takes about 100 years. But because things are so compressed and we're down to the last 50 years of this way of life, people are coming back immediately. When my father in 1988, 89, 1986, 1987, my father died and then was born less than 12 months later back into my family as my niece. She doesn't remember it right now, but she did when she was 2 years old. She remembered and told me that she was my father, and told me how I came home from the hospital in my father's arms, which I saw a film footage of, an old reel-to-reel that she could have never seen or heard about, because the only person who would have known would have been my mother, and my mother never told her. My sister never saw that reel-to-reel tape, neither did my brother. So there was no one in her life that could have told her that story. And she told me exactly what I had saw less than 3 years before that when my father brought it out and said, here was the day that you came home from the hospital. And my brother was filming with a little handheld, no sound, reel-to-reel tape that was on a projector, reel-to-reel projector. And I watched it. Okay. So she told me that entire story and what she was wearing, who was behind the camera, but she doesn't remember it today. But she was my father. So he came immediately back as fast as he could. Okay. So he came back in, I think it was 10 months. So died immediately, inserted into his own daughter's body as a child, and was reborn to still be here. So people are coming back a lot faster because they're trying to stay here for this experience of this change that we're creating in the normal way of doing things, instead of having a global catastrophe, which is what the powers that should not be are trying to do to the planet. We're actually upgrading everybody, and we're going to move people into 4D. We're just going to integrate, the society's just going to shift into 4D. And those people who are 3D and can't move into 4D, when they die of whatever natural causes that they die from, they'll just be transported to another planet, the next closest one that's third dimension, and they'll be inserted there, and they'll be mind wiped, so they won't even know that they were ever here on this planet. They'll just start life there in that other planet, wherever that is, and they'll never know that they were here until they die and they move up again, and then they'll remember that they were on Earth and on that place. Okay. So then you said, did you still want to be on my friend's podcast? Yes, I do. I've been hoping that your friend would contact me, or you would contact me and tell me that I definitely would love to be on there. So we can let's see. So if so, you can write your email in the chat. Okay, let me do that right now. I'll write it in the chat for you. I'll put it up on the screen for you. Okay. So you can see it. His name is Rob. Rob, what's his last name? His name is Rob, and he's had a podcast for over 5 years. Is that Rob? What's his name? I can't think of his last name. Tell me what Rob's last name is. I think that might be Rob, who I know. We'll find out if that is. But I would love to be on this podcast, whoever he is. I would love to talk about this on the podcast. Let's see. I'm going to post. Let me see here. I'm going to post a comment right here of my email address, right? And he can send me an email. In fact, I'll give you, it's Rob Khalil, a typical skeptic, right? So the Truth Seeker podcast. Okay. So I would love to be on there, even if he doesn't believe me and he wants to question everything. I would love to talk to him. I would love to be on there. So let me give you my email address here. Okay. Let me type it in here. Let me make sure I type that right. Yes. So I'm putting that up. There it is in the chat there on YouTube. Write that down. Have him send me an email if he wants. And I would love to come on his podcast at any time to talk about this and my book. And if he's a skeptic and doesn't believe me, I'll let him question everything that he wants to question. I said this before, and you know what I mean? He can say, I don't believe you. Tell me this, tell me that. I'll give him all the information that he wants to have. Even if at the end of the day he says, I think you're crazy, and I don't think I think you're lying and you made it all up. He can believe whatever he wants, and everybody can believe whatever they want. However, people will hear that, right? He has the same type of guests on topics that you cover all phenomenon stuff. Yeah, then yes, please give him my name and tell him that I would love to come on his podcast to talk about it. He can ask me any questions. Nothing is taboo. I'm not afraid of any question. I'm not afraid of people questioning. In fact, I prefer questions so that I can give answers instead of just talking. I would love to give answers to every person's question, because that's what I'm here to do, right? This is the way it works, that people are unaware of the way things work. is that, oh, there's my wife. She's back. Hi, baby. I love you. Brooke's back over there 2 minutes ago. She must be on her tea break. I love you, baby. I don't have the screens up anymore. I could probably put them back up because for whatever reason, the Instagram and Facebook lost connection with the internet on the computer, and I had to close the windows. And then when I reopened them, I realized I was still live. It was just the connection here, and I didn't put them back up on the screen. So let me do that now, because I could have done that and I didn't. Right. So let me see here. Let me see if I can do this and do this and get them up here on the screen. I think I'm opening 2 of these. Yeah, I did, and I didn't want to do that. So let me do that. And yeah, see, I'm having a problem doing it. My wife needs to do this because she's better at it than I am. So I have, oh, here we go. Let me move this over here. There we go. Now I have them both open. So now I have Facebook and the studio opened over here so I can see both chats again, but I don't have Instagram up on the other computer because it went down, and when I opened it, I couldn't see that. So I love you. Yeah, crash those hearts for me, baby. Give me some hearts there. Okay, so what was I talking about? Oh, so your buddy. Yes, I would love to be on his podcast. Please tell him that you really should have me on there, and have him email me, and then, or have him message me on Messenger, or have him contact me on YouTube. He can come on the show on YouTube if he doesn't like Facebook, and he can write a comment, and I'll get a notification, or have him go on Messenger, whatever he needs to do. See if he wants to have me on his show. Tell him I have a book. I mean, you can see it on my shirt, right? I have a book that I talk about with that as well, and I would love to answer his questions and find out what his viewers have, right? So, yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so you said, I sent it to him. Thanks. He should get in touch with me. Let's hope he does. That would be cool if he does, because I would love to talk to him and answer his questions, or at least, have him hear it out. And if he, like I said, if he says, I don't believe you and you're crazy, that's okay too. I don't really care about that. I'm not here to try and convince anybody of anything. I'm here to give tools to those people who want to hear the information. So I would love to have his viewers listen in and have them start thinking for themselves and ask questions for themselves and go down that road. So I love that. So I can see if you guys are on Facebook, I can see your questions. If you're on YouTube, I can see your questions. Instagram, I don't have open anymore, so I don't even think I'm live on there anymore. It's annoying to me. I'm not sure what's going on with that. That was annoying. Yeah, I just see those 2 windows open, and that's it. I could probably open a third one, but I'm not going to mess with it. If I'm on Instagram, I'm on Instagram. If you guys are listening around the world on the MP3 broadcast, you guys can't ask questions of me anyway, so I apologize for that. I am back. Now I'm back on here. So it booted me out of the studio as well. So, but I'm still here. So I apologize. And I don't know what was going on there, but it did do that. It booted me off out of the studio as well. So I lost connection with the internet somehow. I'm not quite sure. And I apologize for me being gone for that second there. So now I'm back over here. Let me go over here. Mute that. Okay. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what just happened, but I just winked out and it dumped me off with StreamYard, but StreamYard stayed live until I came back. So there's that downtime there for however long that was while I was gone, till I realized that I was gone and got back in. So I apologize for that, guys, that something is reacting that way. I don't know if it's my latency, my computer itself, maybe it's time to get a new laptop, not quite sure. But that happened, and I'm back live again. So I apologize. Please share this out. And I am back. So, yeah. So, woo, send that to him and see if Rob wants to have me on his podcast. I would love to do it anytime. Just have him contact me, and we can set up a time and a place to do that. Hi, baby. Are you still there? Yeah, it looks like you're still there, right? So I was offline. I don't know if you saw me drop, Brooke. Let me know if I disappeared offline for a minute and then came back, because over here in the studio I was even StreamYard closed down. I had to reboot StreamYard and Facebook, and I had to go back into the studio to be back live. So I apologize to the world if I disappeared, and we'll find out when I check the recording later. Okay, so let's go. Reiterate everything that we had talked about from the beginning. Today's a convergence of all timelines, and it's the beginning of the age of Aquarius, legit. So Baktun 12 ended in 2012 and is taken until 2023 or 2025. We're in 2025, right? Until 2025, October 14th, 15th of 2025 for Baktun 13 to solidify and start. So the age of Aquarius is now in session, is now in play. The masculine energy has waned, and we are now fully into the feminine energy field of this plane of existence as we're moving through the Milky Way galaxy at this particular time, right? So Brooke said, yeah, you dropped, but it had a screen up saying that you were still there. Yeah, that was the StreamYard stays on. That was the thing I liked about StreamYard. If something happens to your computer and you go down, StreamYard stays up for a few seconds and says, whoops, something happened. We'll be right back. Because when I rebooted StreamYard, that was there. And then I hit the button. And then I literally said, let's get you back into the studio. And I went into the studio, and then I was live again. So StreamYard stays up. I had that happen to me before when I was doing a webinar, and I just grabbed my phone and went on 4G and logged into StreamYard and went right live and set my phone down until the Wi-Fi rebooted, and then I was able to load the computers. That happened about 6 years ago when I was doing an Earth Day, where I was producing an Earth Day, and I literally dropped, and I had to grab my phone, and it was 4G at the time or 3G at the time, and my phone was able to go live. I just went live on my phone. I could do that with my phone now. If it would have stayed this way, I would have grabbed my phone and did it there and went on StreamYard that way. Okay, so we have moved into the place fully now of the feminine energy bombarding the Earth. We're moving into that place of the Milky Way galaxy where that is going to become more prevalent. They can't stop it, no matter what they do. Even if they murder everybody on this planet and lower the population, the people that are going to be here are going to wake up now, because it is time to wake up no matter what. Okay, so there were fail-safes that were there to allow people, if it got stuck, we came here, got rid of the people, and we're working to fix things, right? And then because we decided that we were going to change the way this college works, we didn't want to just kill everybody off to have them move into 4D. So we're moving everybody into 4D. That's what's happening right now. So for that to happen, we needed to make sure that it had this energy that would continue it. So no matter how hard these guys fight, no matter how hard that they are, even if they blow the entire world up and try to kill everybody, this is what's going to happen here. And people are going to get out of here. And the 14% that are in service to self will have to go to another 3D planet and be evil there. And the 1% ruling class of that 14%, who are the powers that should not be, same thing's going to happen to them too. So they have no choice anymore, and they can stay as long as they want, but they're not going to be able to stay here anymore, because here's going to be 4D, and they have to graduate to move up to the 4D. So some of them are going to be there, and there's going to be fewer than 14% evil people on the earth. It's going to get less, and the evil people aren't going to be in charge, but there's still going to be evil people doing evil shit. It's just going to be less than there are now. 14% is what it is now. So they're going to be less. I love you, baby. She had to go back. I'll see you at dinner, okay? And I love you very much. And we'll have to figure out what we're going to do for dinner. I'll have to cook something. Or maybe we have some leftovers. I think we have some leftovers, or do a sandwich. I think we'll do leftovers with some bread. I love you. I'll figure it out. Love you, baby. I'll see you. Just let me know, Brooke, if you're still there. Let me know you are still there, because your hearts are still coming up. Tell me what time lunch is going to be if you haven't already done that, because we turned off all the sounds on my phone. So if you did, please let me know what lunch time is for you, what your dinner time is, and I'll have it ready for you. Okay, I love you, baby. I'll see you in a couple hours. So, yeah. So now we're moving into that place. They can't stop it, and this entire way of life is going to change drastically between now and 2050. So those of you who are out there and you're worried that the world is worse than it ever was, and you only see what they're showing you on the legacy news media, that the world is it's getting worse and the governments are slapping down more and more control. They actually have less control now than they've ever had. Okay. And they're about to lose the control that they have, because the people are going to be in the proverbial up in arms. They're going to start voting them out of power, and they're changing themselves, which is going to then change the dynamic, which is going to take away their power from them. And that's what's happening. They're losing power. And it's always darkest just before the dawn. So the strife is going to seem like the world is getting worse, but it's not. Don't let them get you into the habit of believing their prophecy, their fake agenda, their end times, the rapture, and everyone's going to die, and you're going to be the left behind, and you're slaves, or all that. They're trying everything they can do to get that narrative out there by spreading everything negative that they can spread, so that there's so many people that are focused. Whatever you will focus on that is negative, that's part of their heritage, is what they're going to get you to focus on. That's not spiritual. That's not your ascension. They need you focused in 3D, and they need you thinking you're a slave, and they need you thinking the world's coming to an end, and they need you thinking that they're in charge, no matter what. They need you to think their power, they're in control, you have no choice, you're a slave, you have nothing, the world's going to come to an end, you're going to be the left behind, you have no power, you have no control, you're nobody, you're nothing. They need you desperately to continue to believe one or all of those things. You were created by the Anunnaki, and they're going to come back and take control of the earth. They need you to stay in the caste system. They're desperate for you to stay in the caste system, and they're trying to use everything that they can get. If you believe in aliens, there's aliens that created you, and they're coming back. If you believe in Jesus, Jesus is coming back for you. Wait here, he'll come get you. If you're an atheist, you don't believe in any of that, we're in charge, we're in control, we own the planet, and we own you. If you believe that there is life after death, you're right, there is, but there's aliens who have this machine that catches your immortal soul and zaps your immortal soul and makes you forget who you are, and reinserts you into this body, which is a prison. They have a contingency that's negative that keeps you in the caste system in everything. The one thing they can't have you do is think for yourself and go, yeah, no. The one thing they can't have you do is educate yourself and start asking questions. The one thing they can't have you do is start thinking for yourself, asking questions, and not believing them. They have to have you believing what they tell you the narrative is, so that you will continue in the status quo in some way and give them power. No matter what, they are trying to circle around to have power. They want the planet lowered in population, veiled again. They don't care if everybody's reborn tomorrow. They just want to make sure they have the power when that happens, okay? They don't care how it happens. They just need it to happen. And they have a contingency for every belief that you have. And they have a story for every belief that you have out there, no matter what it is. And it's always the same. They continue in power. You continue as a slave. You're in a pile of goo, and there's robots here that are aliens that are using your body as a battery. That was a good idea. Aliens came down, and they're taking control of the planet, and we have to defend that, and we have to be in control because we have a secret army that you didn't know about. Aliens were your masters who created you, and they're coming back, and they're here to get you. Aliens are coming to get us, and we have to defend against them. There's none of that. There's no God. You just live in 3D, and we're in charge. All of those things say you're a slave and they're in charge. No matter what, do you see who gets to be at the top of the food chain every time? Them. Okay. Those are the scenarios they want you to believe. They want you to believe that I'm crazy. Don't believe him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There's nowhere for you to get. And then, oh, well, there was these aliens and they did imprison you and they did create you. And there was these other aliens that told you about it. Oh, yeah. And by the way, what's their theme? You're still a slave. You're still stuck here. You still can't get out. So don't even worry about it. Just live your life. Do you see? So the one thing that's the same in their religion is they're in charge. You're not. You're nothing. You're a slave. They're in charge. You're not. The one thing that is constant in the other religion, the one that is the spiritual practice of the world that is in every single religion, the common message in all of those religions is you were free from the time that you were born. You're an immortal soul. You're supposed to graduate and go to a different place. And this place is a school and it's a test. And you're supposed to graduate from that and you're stuck. That is the same in every religion. And I'm here to tell you that because I've read them, because I'm interpreting them for you, and I'm showing you that, and I'm not the only one doing it. So it's not some crackpot crazy man who is the only one who is telling you this information, that he's just making this shit up and trying to convince the world. There are millions and maybe billions of us that are doing the same thing, that are telling you the same thing. And every religion is telling you the same thing if you read them. Take the time to read them. And if not, take the time to listen to people like me who are interpreting them for you, because we all can't be wrong. We're not an agenda by the deep state. I'm not getting paid by the deep state or some alien coercing me into telling you this information because I'm trying to control you. That's something that they're going to tell you that is a control mechanism. Okay? They need you desperately to think that no matter what, there's somebody really big in charge that you can't stop. And they're the ones that are telling you the story. All religions were made up by the Anunnaki. They're desperate now. The Anunnaki made up all the religions because people like me are noticing that they're all saying the same thing. Well, that's because they were all made by the same people, the evil people who created you. And that was all a lie so that you would have something to chase after, so that you would think, and there is no religion and it's all fake and you're just a slave. So why worry about it? Just sit down and do what you're told. Lies. Look it up. Think for yourself. Because here's the thing that does happen. 2 hours and 26 minutes in to my podcast, here's the thing that does happen. When you start questioning, if you stayed here long enough to hear this, I'll give you the secrets to the universe again. Question everything. When you start questioning things and you stop taking things at face value and you start researching yourself, that's why they're trying to edit the internet now. Go and find books. They're trying to edit the books now too. They don't want you finding out what you're going to find out even without the internet and even without the books. Question everything. Don't trust anything. AI is trying to lie to you. Don't trust AI. Make them tell you that things are made from AI. Make them have to put that onto the things, because once they start doing that, people are going to realize AI can't lie to you anymore. Okay? Question everything, because when you start questioning everything, you get smarter. Your intelligence goes up. You start unlocking a package of knowledge that they can't stop you from unlocking. That knowledge is universal. That knowledge is the same knowledge that everyone who is in service to others gets. There's another package of knowledge that everyone who is in service to self, who is evil, gets. Okay? See, it's saying that my internet's not responding, so my internet is dropping and going back, so I'm probably being shadow banned because of what I'm saying. Okay? There is an information that they gain on the side of evil that is a package of evil that only evil people gain. So you either unlock in service to self evil package of knowledge, or you unlock in service to others good packet of knowledge once you choose a path and stay on it. That knowledge is universal. It's not something that someone owns and that they're copying a book and they sell to you. Although people write a book about it, I wrote a book about it. Okay, many people have written books about it and tell stories about it and see this, but even without all of that, turn all of that off and ignore everything and don't read anything and sit on your own and hermit, and you will still learn the same knowledge. Okay? Because it's universal. True enlightenment is universal. True prophets demand nothing. Because you will gain the knowledge on your own that everyone else gains. You will gain the wisdom on your own that everyone else gains. They can't stop that. They can't stop you once you start asking questions and you do it for yourself. That's why they're desperate to keep your attention. That's why everything here is designed to keep your attention away from you spiritually. It's designed to make you look at something else. Look here, there's a butterfly. Look here, there's sports. Look here, whatever you like, music, poetry. Look here, politics. Okay? So the same thing's happening, and my internet's tripping, but I'm back. It looks like I'm back on the whatchamacallit, on StreamYard. And of course, Facebook is winked out of existence again. I'll reload it and see how it does. Okay, so it's back, so that's fine. So yeah, I got to stay away from the algorithm because I'm going to get booted off of these channels now, like I did TikTok for saying what I'm saying. Okay, not going to happen. They can't stop it. They can't change this. They can't stop it. All they can do is try to slow things down, and they can't. We also just have to look at those things. And I have to click on here so I can see your guys' comments, don't I? Okay, there we go. Okay, so literally, there's the secrets. The secrets are all you have to do is take care of you, question everything, and you're going to unlock the knowledge that is exactly what I'm telling you. You'll know exactly what I know. Okay? Question everything. Look for yourself. Don't believe them. Stop being distracted by them. If you're a theologian out in the world, stop trying to compare religion and just comparing the religion and trying to figure out who wrote the oldest scroll book and where all the religions were copied from. Start paying attention to what the fuck is the message that all religions are trying to tell you. And then go and read all the books that were taken out and edited out from these books. Why did they edit books? Well, they said they edited them because they were all discredited because they were, we couldn't tell if that real person wrote it. But like with the Christian Bible, the books they left in were Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and all the rest of the books. And Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written between 100 and 300 years after Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John died. Those came up then. Okay, so that they told you that they took James out because James was not, they couldn't tell if James was written by real James. You can't tell that Matthew was written by real Matthew either. But the difference is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John told a certain narrative about Jesus. James didn't. Neither did Philip, neither did Judas, neither did Mary. Those didn't paint the same narrative. The narrative that those books that were taken out painted was the same narrative that Jesus was actually trying to paint before they changed the narrative. Look it up. Okay? Look it up. Don't believe me. Don't believe a word I've said. Try and get a hold of a copy of the Ethiopian Bible and read it. Okay? If you look at the edits just that were made going back to the King James Version, you'll see that the modern Bible has been edited since King James, and King James had the more edits than anybody else since the Council of Nicaea, First and Second Council of Nicaea. Okay, so King James edited the Bible. Before that, it was edited by the Council of Nicaea. And since King James's version, it was edited again. Not just translated into the modern way, but edited again. Look it up. Look those things, get a hold of those Bibles and compare them. Get a hold of the scrolls and compare them. You will see. Get a hold of what they call the Old Testament today and get a hold of what is the Old Testament based on. It's based on the Hebrew Bible. Get the Hebrew Bible, put it next to the Old Testament from the Christian Bible and read it page from page. And you'll see, wait, this is supposed to be the same one, but it's completely different. But it's completely the same, but it's been edited. I'm not making that up. That's not misinformation or disinformation. Ask someone who's Jewish. They will tell you that shit they call the Old Testament is not our Bible. It's been changed, but they act like it is, and it mostly is. Okay, but there's edits. That's not our Bible, but it's supposed to be our Bible. They call it the Old Testament. Look that stuff up. Don't just believe me. Look it up for yourself. Prove me wrong. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about and prove me wrong. That's why Rob, if you listen to this and you ever get this far in to hear this, and you're friends with Woo Riders DG, have me on your show. Question me. I will give you the answers. You don't have to believe me, but I'll give you the tools. I'll give you the key to the door and show you where the door is. If you don't want to grab that key and you don't want to open that door, I don't care. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to give you the tools and let you know that there are tools for you to have so that you can open that door, so that you can get out of here. Your choice. You can stay here as long as you want. I'm not here to be Jesus. That already happened. I'm here to be Leonard talking to you as Kelto. I'm here to be Kelto. I'm here to tell you that you have tools, that you're an immortal soul, and that your soul is billions of years old, if not trillions of years old. You volunteered to have this happen to you. And you've only forgotten that because you were supposed to forget that. But then somebody got control of this place and they're stopping you from learning what you're supposed to learn to get out of here by distracting you. And I'm here to re-distract you, to distract you away from their distraction and put you back on track by showing you and telling you there's tools here right in front of your face. You just have to stop looking at what they're telling you to look at and look for yourself and look around. So, there's sayings like stop and smell the roses. Those sayings were said on purpose for a reason. Stop doing what they're telling you to do and look around. Start seeing this place for yourself. Make your own decision. Your focus determines your reality. Your reality becomes what you see, what you think, and what you hear. So if you only see and think and hear what they tell you to see and think and hear, your reality becomes the reality they want you to be in, not the one that you're supposed to be in. Okay? Remember that. I am going to go for today, and I'll be back on Friday to talk more about Thoth, the Atlantean, Toth, Thoth, depending on how you've learned it, Tote, right? Depending on the language that you heard the first time. Don't get mad at me and start yelling at me in the chat like someone did on last Saturday when I was doing it. Okay? Because it's literally potato, tomato, tomato. Depends on where you're from. It's either caramel or caramel, depending on where you're from. Okay? Everybody in every country that even speaks English says words differently. I come over here and they say words differently over here, and I'm showing my wife, and she's like, that's not the way we say it. I'm like, well, no, that's okay, right? It's just different dialects for different people. So I'll be back talking about Thoth the Atlantean, and we'll continue on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth on Saturday, if you're in Australia, on Friday, if you're in the North American continent. I'll be live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook once more to give you some more of the translation and show you how much that is similar to all of the other religions and what the message is that's in there. Okay? And I will continue to talk to you and channel you, my higher self. And I'm going to continue doing that and talk to you more as Kelto than Leonard O'Neill. Okay? So I will see you guys then. I love you guys. Have a great day, right? Thank you, Wu. God bless you and your family as well. And I will see you guys on the next live stream. But I will be coming back on next week. And I am going to go live on TikTok as soon as I can, which should be the 16th or the 17th of this month. I will be back on TikTok on my channel for Leonard O'Neill. And I will go live there and see how long I go. But this time I'm going to have moderators to look out for trolls to boot them off of my live before somebody decides to, again, say that I'm conspiracy theory because I'm telling the truth, because they don't like it and they don't want to hear the answers that I have to say. Okay? Melissa, thank you for being here. Thank you for whoever tuned into the show. And thank you for those of you listening around the world on the MP3 broadcast. Again, if you guys want to contact me, to talk to me and you're around the world, I'm on every platform. You can look up this name. Sorry, a motorcycle just drove by. I'm on every platform. I post reels, whatever you call them, on every platform. You can find my name, or you can look up Orion Rising. You can find me on Messenger. You can find me on TikTok, and you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on X. I'm all over the place. I'm on YouTube. I'm all over the place. Message me in there. I check those daily. So message me in those things. If you guys want me on your show, get in contact with me. You can email me at merlinandmaeve@gmail.com. I'll put that up and I'll type it in the chat here for those of you who have the MP4 file, and I'll put it in. I'll also spell it for you, right? So it's Merlin, 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 and AND, Maeve, MAEVE. Okay, Merlin and Maeve at gmail.com. Okay, so you guys can contact me there. That's my wife and I's email currently for our business, for our company. So that will be up for you guys. Oh, I just typed it over in sorry about that. I just typed it on Facebook. And not in the studio. So now I typed it in the studio, so it'll pop up on Facebook and YouTube, right? So Merlin, Merlin and Maeve at gmail.com. That's That's my wife and I's business email currently until we get our website up. Then we'll have other emails that'll be attached to that. If you guys want me on your podcast, wherever it is around the world, contact me and I'll come on there and you guys can ask me questions. I am Kelto. I am an immortal soul that has come. I am the Patal. I am what you would consider an archangel. I am here on this earth because I came down here to help you to get unstuck, to give you back the knowledge that you guys have lost, that you guys have right in front of your face, but it's being distracted away from you, to tell you that this is not happening to you. This is all happening for you. All of this was done on purpose, and you volunteered for this. You just need to remember that. And then you can leave and you can go to the next place of your destination, wherever that needs to be. I will be back on Saturday or Friday, depending on where in the world you are. And I'll be talking about animal tablets of love. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, a great week. Some of you I'll see on the weekend or Friday. Others I may see on TikTok or one of the other places. Have a great day. Remember, question everything. Learn for yourself. Learn to read. Learn to write. Learn to ask questions.